Welcome to episode 207 of Timm Talk, the podcast about the DC animated universe co-created by Bruce Timm. I'm Chris Lord.
I'm Cameron Dexter.
And, it finally happened, Cameron. Shockingly, we did it.
I am baffled. I was ready for this to fizzle.
Same.
Around episode 50 and then around episode 100.
I know it's very crazy, but yeah, this is it, everyone. This is the finale of Justice League Unlimited.
Does it feel like we skipped something? I feel like we must have skipped something.
I mean, it took us 2.5 years to get through the Zeta project, so no, I feel like we did hit everything we had to. But yeah, I mean, not only is it the finale for Justice League Unlimited, it's the finale for the DCAU, and it is our finale.
Mm-hmm. For all Timm Talk podcasts out there.
Yes, for the Timm Talk podcast comes to an end here. It's very, very crazy. It's probably going to be a long episode because there's a lot to get through. Once we get through this one episode, we have to cover.
Yes, both to talk about and emotionally.
Exactly, yes. But you know, it is our last episode. Cameron, how are you doing?
I'm anxious.
Anxious.
Yeah, I don't, it's bittersweet.
Of course, yeah.
This has been our hangout for every weekend, minus our emotional weekend problems,
right.
For 5.5 years.
It's nuts. Yeah, I know.
And to go back to casual friends.
I know. Well, I mean, the problem is we don't have a friendship outside this podcast.
You're right.
We're not allowed to hang out outside of this podcast.
For some reason, I thought we were friends, but you're right.
No, this ends here. We stop hanging out definitively once we're done recording.
That does make sense.
Yes. We just disappear from each other's lives.
Mm-hmm. How are you feeling?
I'm not anxious. It definitely bittersweet. If I'm going to be perfectly honest, I'm looking forward to regaining like 8 hours a week.
Yes, I do understand that. There is like every Saturday. We mostly record these on Saturdays. Yeah. Usually in the morning. Mm-hmm. And there's also like stuff happening at boxing that happens in the morning that I've always wanted to do. I have like friends that do Disney things in the morning I've always wanted to do. So like it is nice to like, see the world that we've been missing in this like 3-hour block. Yeah, I'm like, I can start going to the gym on a Saturday again, or maybe go for like an early morning hike or a brunch. You can do a brunch?
Like if I'm being honest, like with that 8 hours, I'll say like I'll go do a bunch of stuff. It's gonna be in two things. I'm gonna be drunk during the day more on a weekend, and I'm gonna sleep more.
There you go.
Those are the two things that are gonna change.
But those are very important things.
They're very important things, and correlated.
Yeah.
Or causal. I don't know. One of the two. Somehow they'll be intertwined.
Yeah. I have the problem with like I don't drink very often, but when I do, I always wake up way earlier than I think the next morning. I hate it. Yeah. I can't stand it.
This is why I almost never evening drink anymore. I can't do it. My body hates, because if I'm evening drinking, I'm probably staying up later than I normally would. Yeah. Which means like past 10:30 p.m. But then same thing, my body, I don't know if it's because it's not getting good sleep or what, will wake me up early the next day. So I've like shaved hours off of either end of my sleep, and it's bad sleep. Yeah. And I still have a pretty high tolerance. So it takes a lot for me to get drunk. It takes very little for me to be hungover. Like I've had it down to the point now where like one drink, I have occasionally had like a slight hangover the next day.
Oh no.
And that's really bad. And it varies. Sometimes I can have like several and it'd be okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
I'll put the champagne away.
Oh God.
The bat champagne.
I should have got like a cupcake like that. I totally forgot. I'm glad you didn't bring champagne because I hate champagne. I know I've told this.
That's right.
I know I've told this story a number of times, but the short version is I now hate champagne because of a disastrous drag brunch one time.
But that's good. That's in character.
It's very in character. Yeah, I'm not a champagne person. Plus, okay, here's a tangent, a very early tangent.
Let's go.
A tangent on a tangent.
Yeah, there's no stopping us this week.
Exactly. So I think the idea of like Bloody Marys and mimosas is like bullshit. Like one, I just don't care for either one of them. Not a tomato juice person, not a champagne person, but also like it's like they're trying to like soften the blow of choosing to drink like just pure spirits in the morning. I'm like, we don't have to like dance around this. If you're gonna make a Bloody Mary, hold the tomato juice, just give me vodka. Like, let's not pretend like we're doing anything classy here. We're drinking at like 10 a.m. Fuck it. Just bring me a drink. I don't care.
I remember my first ever bottomless mimosa brunch. And I'd never had a mimosa before. So I knew it was like orange juice and champagne.
Yeah.
and like everyone has brought out a full glass of champagne, and they bring out the tiny like thimble of orange juice for each person. And I'm looking, I'm like, is this, we have to share this? I'm like, because I need more orange juice. Like, I was looking forward to the orange juice.
Yeah, I think most people's proper way of making a mimosa is a full glass of champagne and then a teardropper. Just a little drop of orange juice on the top.
You dip your finger in the orange juice, you rub it on your lips, and then you chug the champagne.
It's like coating the ice when making martini with vermouth, right? Like, it's just there to kind of like accent, but you mostly ditch it at the end.
Yeah.
God, yeah, I cannot do mimosas. We will not be doing celebratory mimosas.
That's fine. I do have a gift for you. It was supposed to be here today. It was supposed to be here Thursday.
Okay.
But this morning it said it's going to arrive today. So I'll give it to you tomorrow.
Oh, it's very sweet of you.
Yes.
I did not.
That's fair. That's totally fine. You've done enough for just giving me your time for the past 5.5 years.
Yeah, I gotta go edit this fucker.
Yeah.
Which is probably going to be way long. Oh, maybe I'll drink during that.
There you go.
Yeah, just watch as the quality of the edit gets sloppier and sloppier towards the end.
You're just gonna start cutting yourself in. I'm like, this is future Chris.
Exactly. Just rambling.
This is a dumb joke.
Yeah. I messed the joke up here. I'm gonna try again. But yeah, so this is it. We're covering Destroyer, the finale of Justice League Unlimited here, and then we'll get into a short list and some other little fun stuff there towards the end. So at this point, shall we go ahead and dive on in?
Let's jump into it.
All right.
For the last time.
Yeah, and so this episode picks up where the last one left off, with Darkseid having been resurrected accidentally by Lex Luthor, and Luthor seeking out help from the Justice League. So the League begrudgingly accepts the help of Lex and Legion of Doom to go and defeat Darkseid and his invading armies. And ultimately, it just kind of boils down to a fight between Batman, Lex, Superman, and Darkseid, while the rest of the League takes on the rest of Darkseid's army. It's basically just a long action episode that does a pretty good job of giving most characters like a little bit of a moment.
They do. Yeah. There's some teams that feel more powerful than others.
Yes.
And there's some teams that I desperately want to be a part of. Specifically, I don't know if you caught this amazing team up. Hawk, Dove, the Creeper, and Question.
Oh my God. Yes.
What a team. What a nonsense bullshit team.
I wouldn't even contribute.
No, I
would sit on the sideline eating popcorn, just watch it unfold.
Of course. I would love an interaction between Hawk and the Question. Because they would hate each other.
They would hate each other, absolutely. They would be at each other's throats. I would also love to see an interaction between the Creeper and Question.
Yes.
Like, who's crazier?
They're both like conspiracy theorist detectives.
Right. But like, if there's anyone that's going to make the Question look more like sane and rational, it's the Creeper.
Yeah.
So, it still just baffles me that he's there in the first place.
I know. I think because he's always been that question mark, like, is he a hero? Is he a villain? He was in the intro shot when we see, in Initiation. Mm-hmm. But we haven't seen him since then. And it feels like the writers are like, oh, wait, maybe he was a villain. Like, maybe we shouldn't. And so they're waiting for the moment of like the heroes and villains teaming up again. I'm like, okay, yeah, we can put him in again.
Yeah. Like, what do we do with him?
Mm-hmm.
That's a good point. I feel like he must have just been excluded from the Bat embargo mostly. The fact that he's still here, because Huntress isn't.
That's right.
Here at any point, which is interesting. Even if she's not a full leaguer, but we get a shot of like Hawkman gearing up to go into combat. We don't actually see him fight anyone, but like we see him going out and doing stuff. So that is an interesting point I had only just thought of. It's like, yeah, I wonder if we don't see Huntress because at that point, like the Bat embargo was like full tilt.
Steam.
Yeah. Don't include anyone, which is like, I know we talked about it before, but I understand why they did it, but it's also fucking maddening. But especially think about that Bat embargo was in place because the Dark Knight trilogy, a trilogy that in no way was going to take advantage of characters like Huntress or even Robin, much less like Nightwing, Batgirl, all these other characters. Like,
I mean, I think Huntress could have fit in to the Dark Knight universe.
I totally agree. Mm-hmm. Like, I think there's a version of like a third movie that kind of leans heavier into that idea of like copycats, of like what like Batman has to face someone who's now like taking things much more seriously. It's not just some dude in hockey pads, but like another vigilante that's out there. And I think Huntress would have been the ideal one because she actually does kill. She'll go pretty far.
Yeah.
Like they totally could have, but I don't think Nolan had any interest. I mean, Nolan didn't have any interest in Batman by the time he got to The Dark Knight Rises.
That's true.
He barely had interest in Batman when he did The Dark Knight. Something I've talked about at length before.
Yes.
So, but we do learn at the beginning of the episode how the Legion escaped, which, to your point last week, Sinestro.
Did I say it last week?
Yeah, he's like, they probably just escaped on Sinestro's like thing, and they did.
Yeah, and the fact that Lex is trying to take credit for it this entire time is like, how'd you survive? By the skin of my teeth. I'm like, no, you died. You did nothing in this. You got saved by Sinestro, and then you got saved by who was the new Genesis guy?
I meant to look him up, and I totally forgot.
Light something. Whatever. He's the quick guy. He's the guy that looks like Flash.
Exactly.
This is the episode where we just fully uncover we don't know anything about the DCAU.
In case people didn't already know.
Yeah.
Light Ray.
Yeah, and Lex just not even Lex. Polaris zaps him. Lex does nothing.
No, yeah, exactly. Someone else zaps him. They take the mother box and they show up on Earth. But I even love the way Lex phrased that. Of like, we had to rely on the kindness of strangers, and someone offered the help, and we gladly accepted it. And the guy's passed down the floor. They've stolen his mother box. What an asshole.
Yeah.
But so Superman's like, I don't believe you, and then all of a sudden, boom tombs open up all over the planet, and then of course Darkseid invades again, which is like, I overall do really enjoy this episode. I will say though, it feels like, to some degree, they're just kind of playing the greatest hits. Like, this is now the 4th full-scale alien invasion that's happened over the course of the universe. The 2nd time Darkseid has done it.
So we have Darkseid 1 in Superman Adventures.
Exactly.
We have the Mascarans in Justice League.
Sorry, we have we'll call them like the White Martians, whatever they're called, but like Secret Invasion.
Right. Yeah,
and then the Thanagarians.
Thank
Starcross. Yeah, so another invasion's happening. Like, okay, we should probably stop this. And Wonder Woman's like, well, we got to lock up all these guys. Like, well, wait, hang on. Like, even Atomic Skull says it's our planet too. And I love that before any of these villains get a chance to be like overly like altruistic, Lex steps up. It's like, whoa. Do not get confused. We're not here to help you save the world. You are here to help me get revenge on Darkseid.
Right.
Because he always has to be an asshole all the fucking time.
Yeah, he gets no redeeming moment whatsoever.
Not really.
I do like his wordplay though. At the very end, we're just gonna jump straight to it.
That's fine.
There's no organization today.
No.
When after he meets up with Metron, he shows back up. He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I had to go change into my power suit."
Oh yeah, and it's just
that it's his like actual like big green and purple suit,
right?
And it's just his business suit.
It's just his business suit. We haven't seen him in a long time.
Yeah,
it's fun to have that come back around.
Superman, I think.
No, we had a little bit of him in Justice League in that suit.
Okay,
because he was running for president and stuff like that. So we did have some elements of him in his full suit. But yeah, so they want to get revenge on Darkseid, and so they begrudgingly accept the help of the Legion, and Wonder Woman says, like, trust but verify, pair any of the bad guys with regular team leaders, which basically means more or less original League members. Actually, the DCAU wiki very kindly gave us a list of all the teams that break up. Shall I just read them?
Sure. Let's go for it.
Why not? We can do whatever the fuck we want. So... off in DC, it's She-Ra, Commander Steel, and Atomic Skull. In Paris, it's Green Lantern, Flash, and Giganta.
Mm-hmm.
Out at the Great Wall of China, it's Wonder Woman, Shining Knight, Vigilante, and Star Sapphire. In Rome, it's Dr. Light, Green Arrow, Black Canary, and Bizarro. That's a fun group, actually.
That's a good group.
Yeah. I could see Green Arrow and Bizarro like kind of getting along well.
Yeah, or like Green Arrow, like knowing how to talk to Bizarro.
Exactly. Yeah. He's the most people person kind of all of them. So he's like, oh yeah, I got this guy. He's totally fine. In Tokyo, it's Sinestro, Steel, and Blue Devil. In an unknown city, is the best team of them all that you mentioned. It's Hawk and Dove, the Creeper, the Question, and then later on, Captain Atom joins them too.
You gotta have some muscle in there.
A little bit, yeah. At another location, it's Zatanna and Volcana.
Yep, Zatanna, way too overpowered for this fight. We understand why she's not in any episode for combat. Yeah,
she turns a bunch of parademons into doves, puts them all into her hat, and then launches them like a comet at a ship and blows it up.
Yeah.
I mean, beautiful. Love it. Love you some
Remarkable.
Zatanna.
Yeah.
How have we not gotten a Zatanna show?
Good question.
Like a Zatanna show, or like even like one of those DC animated showcases, like a short built around her. She's such a fantastic character. How have we not gotten more of her?
Yeah, I mean, really, I just want the Prestige again, but with Zatanna.
Yes, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the reason I hope eventually they do get a chance to make a Justice League Dark movie, because would love to see. I like the idea of even just at a minimum her, Constantine, and Etrigan as a team. Just those three alone would be so much fun.
Yeah.
Like weird dynamics across the board there. Like three very distinct personalities that kind of shouldn't work, but also do kind of work at the same time. Just give it to us. Just, gah. Anyways, I guess Cairo, it's just Toyman left to himself.
Toyman, again, we talked about it last week, is the most dangerous human on the planet. Holy shit. He's got a fucking Nerf gun and just like boop, 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 pops the parademons around him and they explode.
Right? It's like we were talking about last week, a brilliant engineer that all of his weapons still work as toys. Like they're foam darts. They literally bounce off the guys like they're nothing, and then they explode. Like he builds them to have that effect of like it's still a toy, but it kills you.
It's a character of like, it's how as a kid you think. Did you watch Boba this week?
Yeah, I've finished it. Yeah.
Okay. Where in that episode it just felt like I could see my 6-year-old self with 6-year-old Robert Rodriguez and 6-year-old Jon Favreau and 6-year-old Filoni, where we're playing with the toys, and then someone keeps bringing other things in on the side.
Yeah,
that's what it feels like when I watch Toyman. Like this is my 6-year-old brain active again.
Exactly. I love me some Toyman. This version in particular. I don't know if he's been done quite as well here as he has other places as well as he has here. And then in London, it's Hawkman, Stargirl, and Stripe, and then in Venice, I guess just Killer Frost on her own. But like, that's a damn good collection of people to go off and go fight. Now, what's interesting is we see a lot more leave the Watchtower, but we just don't see where they end up going. Like we see Crimson Avenger and it's not Copperhead. What's her name? Crimson Fox.
Yeah, and
other people not named Crimson go on the teleporter and go off. We just, I guess, don't see where they ultimately end up going.
Right. We see the Ray do his like transformation. The gearing up sequence. It's so exciting.
It's pretty fantastic. Did you catch the big Marvel reference in there?
I don't think so.
So we see Fire and Ice gear up to head off, and they're in Rio, because we see the big Jesus statue in the background. Yeah. And Ice is in like a bikini, and then she uses her ice powers to freeze herself and breaks out of it, and then she's in costume, and that's the way that Iceman gears up in The Amazing Spider-Man, or Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends.
That's amazing. I love that.
Yeah. Because
Bobby Drake.
Good old Bobby Drake. Because there's actually 2 other Marvel references in here as well. They're a little more subtle. Well, okay, one of them's not subtle at all. At one point when they've realized that the Darkseid's armies has brought down basically things to create fire pits. The thing that Darkseid always trying to do. It's like, oh, what is he going to do? Create fire pits on Earth and turn into Apocalypse. He already tried to do this once. Yeah, it's his vacation spot. It's his Puerto Vallarta. He already did this once in Apocalypse Now, or tried to. And then I think, wasn't this the plot of Justice League, the movie?
Yes.
Either version. I've seen both once. No need to revisit. But he does this all the time. But when they realize that's what it is, and Shi'ar goes to destroy the machine, one of the parademons throws a spear through her wings. It's a little more subtle, but that's supposed to be a reference, I think, to the same thing happens to Angel in the comics, and that's what leads him to losing his wings and becoming Archangel.
Got it.
And the other one is, was it Captain Steel picks up a shield and throws it all up.
Yeah, I saw that one.
All Captain America, which is kind of fun. But we love ourselves a little reference here and there. You know, it's okay to love both DC and Marvel.
Yeah, but then also to show that this is DC and not Marvel. When he throws the shield, you hear the slice of decapitation.
Oh yeah,
and then it slams into the side of the machine.
It's fine. They're not human.
Right. It's DC. They can get away with it.
They can kill them all they want.
Also, we get a very strong flippin' out of Superman.
Oh my God.
I'm like, that made it past the censors?
Oh.
I was shocked.
Clark language.
It's Lex flippin' Luthor.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I actually found that almost distracting.
Very distracting.
By being one, like, so out of character, but also so light. Like it's not it's like the lightest way you could put. It's not anything close to resembling an actual curse word.
It's something I wish if we had the time to pad, every member of the league would make fun of him for.
Mm-hmm.
Like I imagine Flash just like nonstop being like, "Oh, it's breakfast flipping time."
Right?
It's just like any chance he can, just throwing it in.
Hey, it's burger flipping time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Age of Ultron, one of the lesser Marvel movies, but that running gag about language is pretty great all the way.
Yeah.
All the way throughout it. But yeah, Lex flipping Luthor. Come on, Superman, you can do better than that. But
that's all they could get through the censor.
That's all they could get.
I'm sure they tried 1,000 other variations.
I'm sure they did. But yes, all the teams break up, and then the last team, as mentioned at the top of the show, it's Batman, Superman, and Lex Luthor going to Metropolis, where they find the most heavily fortified landing ship, which is clear where Darkseid is. And I love this idea that we talked about this last week, that Darkseid is pretty much the greatest threat to the universe in this version of the DC universe, right? Like, Brainiac theoretically would be more of a threat, but Darkseid is insane and bloodthirsty and out for revenge and will stop at nothing to get what he wants. And so like this huge threat, this resurrected threat, and they send Superman, fair, and then Batman and Lex Luthor. And the idea that those three are enough to take him on actually does kind of make sense. You have the biggest muscle on the planet in the form of Superman, and two of the smartest people on the planet in the form of Batman and Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
Honestly, that trio could do it.
But then the fact that immediately when Darkseid comes down, Lex charges in headfirst himself.
Yeah.
Like, this is the guy that beats Superman sometimes, right? What are you going to do?
Pure hubris.
Yeah.
Pure.
And he's immediately thrown off the roof.
Right. Yeah. Batman has to swoop down and save him. But like, I love that moment, though. It just shows kind of how unhinged Lex is on his own, that he's so driven by ego that he's literally just got two pistols.
Yeah.
That's it. And he's just shooting
he has an extra one because he offered it to Batman.
Which is like, I think maybe the closest, it's not even a redemption moment. It's like the nicest moment we get out of Lex Luthor this entire episode. It's like, hey, you want my gun?
But at the same time, Lex would also be the character that would know Batman would never use a gun.
Right.
And so it's almost like a mocking, like, oh, you're out of bat stars, you're out of your things. I got a gun.
You want a gun?
It's like, I can't have a gun. It's like, oh, that's right. I guess I'll keep shooting.
He's such a fucking asshole. But they very quickly lure Darkseid out, and then, to your point, Lex gets thrown off a ledge, and pretty much the rest of the episode, it's mostly just Superman and Darkseid fighting.
This is a 3-page script.
Yeah, pretty much. With Batman getting a few good licks in here and there. They wreck the Daily Planet.
That was one of my favorite fun moments for me. Is every other place you see, it's pretty much all tourist spots because that's the easiest way to identify that.
Exactly.
It's Paris, it's Rome,
it's the Roland Emmerich method of storytelling.
Yes. But then the fact that during this global conquest, because it is so frequent now, like you said, it's our 4th time, everyone of the Daily Planet is still working.
Oh yeah,
no one has left the building.
It's happening again. All right, everyone, just Olsen, get as many pictures as you can. Lois, write something up.
Yeah, this is not an excuse to stop working. We have deadlines to hit, people.
And like, given that Darkseid takes the globe, the little globe off the top of the Daily Planet, and slams it all the way through the building down to the ground floor. My thought is, one, that building cannot be fixed.
Right.
That is a tear down rebuild at that point. Like, you have literally blasted through every single floor on this thing. And on top of that, how the fuck did anyone in that building survive? Like, we see the planet smash through the bullpen where Perry and Lois and Jimmy are still working. Like, even if they ran off to the side, how are they still alive?
I mean, we can say super speed bullshit.
That's
like, while he's pinned under, he's actually like running and grabbing everyone on the side, and it's all just an illusion to make it look like he's been beaten by Darkseid.
Yeah, because I mean, like, they clearly don't die. It's a kid's cartoon. Even though we don't see them again, they clearly don't die. Plus, like, there's no way in this universe that, one, they're going to kill Lois Lane, too, and if they were to do it, Superman would react in some capacity.
Right.
So, like, it doesn't happen. It just seems a little bit absurd. But yeah, so then it's basically just a bunch of other fighting happening around the world. I have to ask you this. Were you glad that like GL's final big moment was building a construct?
He finally did it. He really did it. And of course, it's the nerdiest construct you could think of. He builds a fucking catapult.
Yep.
I mean, he could have done a trebuchet. I think that would have been a little bit nerdier.
That would have been nerdier. This is very true.
Yes.
Yes. Actually, on the spot, what's the difference between a trebuchet and a catapult?
A trebuchet uses, it has a longer... Do you know the answer to this?
I don't. I'm asking you.
Okay.
If you do.
Catapults are like a single pivot point.
Yeah.
And I think it's just based off of one beam for the lever, whereas a trebuchet is normally like almost a net, and you have and I think
it's counterweighted, right? A trebuchet. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, catapults they have a smaller range of motion.
Oh, okay.
I think they can only go up to 90 degrees of rotation.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
And trebuchets can there's no like fixed point. They can fully rotate.
Yeah.
So they get launched farther.
Fair enough.
Trebuchets are better, basically.
Yeah, I was gonna say like that. I was kind of surprised. Like you just make it a catapult? Shouldn't you make a trebuchet?
Well, I feel like the trebuchet renaissance didn't happen for a couple of years after this.
The trebuchets?
Yes. I don't know. There was a point in pop culture, I think it must have been like 2009, 2010, where just like everyone decided trebuchets are now the cool thing to do.
They're cool.
They're very cool.
Yeah.
But no one makes a catapult anymore. Yeah. Like catapults just fell out of our vocabulary.
They're boring.
They are boring.
Yeah. Much prefer a trebuchet.
Yeah.
Always. Except for Jon Stewart. He's all about that catapult, apparently.
Yeah.
But it's fun because Flash's like, oh, can't we just throw this thing in the sun? He's like, no, but you did give me an idea. And so he just launches off one of the fire pit generators and takes out the ship. But it like, I made a note. It was like, I'm very happy that he made a construct finally.
Yes. And I just recently learned about escape velocity. And so it was cool to like see that in practice.
Wait a minute. You just learned about escape velocity?
Who was I talking? I was watching a movie. I don't think it was with you guys, but I was watching a movie recently.
It wasn't part of the Karate Kid?
It was part of the Karate Kid. It was how hard did he have to kick to send Johnny
and escape velocity.
Yeah. No, my question was how fast you need to throw a baseball to like. Oh, we were talking about Invincible.
Oh, okay.
When there's that great moment where father and son are playing catch, where the ball is orbiting the Earth, and I was questioning like how hard do you have to throw it because it's not reaching orbit, and it's also not breaking escape velocity. So like how fast do you have to throw it to get that perfect arc?
Oh, I see what you
back.
mean. Yeah.
And then I had a science friend explain it to me.
But you had never heard the term escape velocity before?
I must have heard it in physics class.
Yeah,
but that was a while ago.
Physics or any space movie.
I don't pay that close attention.
I know you don't.
The only space movie I watch is Space Jam, Chris.
God. The only escape velocity only applies in that context. And how fast can I leave the room to escape from Space Jam?
And the answer is never fast enough.
No, there's no escape from Space Jam. There are two moments in this show that like emotionally hit me. One is the very end, which of course we'll get to. The other one is the return of John Jones.
Oh, yes.
When we see this old couple on the Great Wall of China, and the husband says to the wife, like, I gotta go help, and he runs off. And Wonder Woman's like, I appreciate your help, sir, but like I don't know what you're gonna do. And this guy just starts thrashing parademons. She even goes like, Hera, like what the hell is this? And he transforms into a dragon, a la the intro of Justice League.
He did it. He did it. Second time.
He brought it back around.
But it's bright red this time.
Bright red, yeah. And then he comes back and it's fully John Jones. And it's just like, I knew that was coming because I've seen this episode before.
I totally forgot that was happening.
It's such a sweet moment. Like, he's been gone for so long and he was always kind of sidelined. So it's not like his absence was super noticeable, but bringing him back kind of reminds you that in a lot of ways, he kind of, we talk about the Flash always being like the heart of the league, but there's something to be said about Jean also kind of being the heart of the league.
Well, and you also have to think this is his first time revealing his identity on Earth since the Thanagarian invasion.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, because he briefly went down to another shore, which is the episode where he decided to retire.
Yeah.
But yeah, for the most part, and that was a very small instance. But yeah, this is like big global scale. He's bringing himself back during another invasion.
Yeah, one of many. Yeah, when we first see the old man, I'm like, who is this guy? Like, he has to be someone.
Yeah.
Then he starts punching people. And my first thought is not Manhunter. My first thought was like, is this Wildcat?
Oh yeah, where's Wildcat at all this?
You know, he's had enough world invasions.
That's true.
He's letting the young guns handle it now.
I'm done with this crap.
He's playing chess with Dr. Fate now.
Oh yeah, no Dr. Fate.
Yeah. Or Mazo.
Yeah. But I guess Mazo's been gone a while though. We haven't seen a Mazo in quite some time. I feel
he's just playing chess.
Yeah, they're playing chess somewhere. But yeah, it was so nice to have him come back.
Yeah.
And thank God he did too, because like they need him.
Oh God, they do.
Crazy powerful.
Yeah.
So but you know, that's a very touching moment. And then another one of my favorites is back at the fight with Batman and Superman and Darkseid. Is that Darkseid, like, Batman is basically doing the best he can to assist Superman in the fight.
Well, he's distracting Darkseid while Superman catches his breath.
He's just like nettling him a little bit. It's like, I'm just gonna throw a batarang here and there, or like get like a random punch in with enough leverage to kind of like move you a little bit.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't even punch. He throws his whole body, like he tackles Darkseid.
Yeah.
And you see Batman go down, and Darkseid like moves a step.
Yeah, it barely phases him, but he's doing it anyways.
Yeah. And
so Darkseid unleashes his Omega beams, and it's this great shot of Batman like leaping off the edge, landing on top of a flying parademon, carrying him, like pushing him all the way to the ground, and then kicking off the parademon. The parademon gets zapped by the Omega beams, and Batman escapes. And it's like
the first person to ever escape.
Yeah, that's what Darkseid even says. It's such a cool moment. It's kind of one of those things like only Batman.
Yeah.
Like, we talk about this a lot, but Batman gets away with so much, especially in this universe, but it always works.
In the next moment right after that, like they know how to play off of that perfectly.
Yeah.
Where Darkseid's like, oh wow, you escaped. Is he that flexible? Yeah. And he looks at Lex, and Lex and he's like, nope, fuck it, and just jumps down immediately.
Gets out of there. It kind of reminds me of in the Superman Batman comic Supergirl, which was then adapted into Superman Batman Apocalypse, the animated movie. But it's I think it was pre-New 52, but it was a reintroduction of Kara Zor-El as Supergirl. But in that, they end up going to Apocalypse, and Batman basically plays a gambit where they're all trying to like defeat Darkseid and regain Supergirl, who's been captured. And Batman goes up to Darkseid and he's like, I have planted bombs in your fire pits, and unless you let us walk out of here, I'm going to blow up the whole planet. And he's there with Superman and Wonder Woman, and Darkseid even says, like, if it were the Kryptonian or the Themysciran, I wouldn't believe them. But I believe that you, a human being, would go so far as to blow up this entire planet to not lose.
Yeah.
You may leave.
You're making your friends work during a global crisis.
Yeah. It's just like, sometimes if the writer knows how to do it right, those moments where people like kind of like in universe tip their hat to Batman for being Batman, every single time I love it.
This is a weird tangent, but I just had this thought.
On this podcast, never.
Has there ever been a Superman Batman story? We're not the right people to ask. This is for the audience.
Yeah.
This is for Dre. Has there ever been a Superman Batman story where Bruce buys the Daily Planet and forbids them from writing Superman stories?
I don't know about forbidding them from writing Superman stories, but I do know that in universe, Bruce Wayne is at least a partial owner of the Daily Planet, because they make reference to it in the Hush comic.
Okay.
Because when Bruce visits Metropolis, he stops by the Daily Planet to like say hi to Clark, like basically tell him like, I'm here doing my thing, leave me alone.
Right.
And like bring flowers to Lois, and Perry makes comments like, oh, like, let me take you out to lunch. The least I can do for like the owner of the Daily Planet.
Okay.
So
I just feel like that'd be such a like spiteful thing to just hit Clark.
I think just knowing Clark, I think for Bruce, knowing that he writes Clark Kent's checks at the end of the day is enough.
Yeah, on both fronts.
Yes. Yeah, it's true. He funds him at home and as the League.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, like, Clark is not so petty as to care.
Right. Yeah, it's just purely for Batman's ego.
If anything, Clark's probably pretty smug about it. It's like, cool.
He's like, well, if you don't want to talk to Superman, I have these great articles about the farming districts in Smallville. Yeah. It's like, you know what? Just write your Superman story.
Just write your Superman story. God damn it, Clark. But yeah, so all this, builds to one of your favorite moments in all of the DCAU.
It finally happened.
The cardboard world speech.
I thought it was much bigger than this.
Yes, I think you always referred to it as the paper town speech.
I did. Even in my notes, I wrote it as the paper town moment. And I'm like, oh, wait, it's cardboard.
It's the cardboard world.
Yeah.
You're close.
It's close enough.
It's in the ballpark.
Yeah.
But what I love about how that speech starts off is it begins by Darkseid making a comment about Batman's like, oh, you're still trying. And Superman says, like, that man will not stop as long as there's a breath left in his body, nor will the rest of my team. And that's where it starts. And then he gets in the whole...
Yeah, but I'm different.
Yeah, but I'm just... it is a great speech.
Yeah. And then, yeah, so the speech is great. We don't have to recite it. I have it here if we want to, but we don't have to.
Let's not. We could not do as good of a job as George Newbern.
We could never.
Never come close.
The punch afterwards is... There's a series that's been going on TikTok right now of a guy trying to find the greatest single punch in animation history.
Oh, okay.
And I would nominate this for like maybe top 5.
It's pretty fantastic.
Yeah, like the punch to a sonic boom where like the whole, like there's no audio, the whole thing goes silent and just the whole like screen freezes for a second.
Yeah.
And then just explodes through the city.
And just the way it's drawn, like they've drawn it so that you can see that Superman is putting his whole weight into it. It's not like he's just throwing it. Like he is coming in at an angle. He's like twisting his whole body to get as much momentum as he possibly can.
Yeah.
Just showing how powerful he can be.
It's so good.
It is great. And it's kind of similar to the speech he has to Darkseid in Twilight a little bit. Even then we're like, wait, is this the moment when it happens? And this one's better. I'd say it's a little bit sharper written, a little more fun and bombastic. But it almost feels like most of the episodes just building towards that moment of him just like really unleashing,
letting loose. Yeah.
And he thrashes Darkseid. I mean, he punches him into the ground, knocks him probably at least like a mile across town through several buildings, flips over, smashes him in the ground. We think he's going to get the upper hand, but then of course
the agony ray.
It's like
the agony.
It's like the agony matrix or something. It's like such a very Darkseid way of everything's a matrix.
Yeah.
Everything is some word for pain and it's a matrix. He unleashes that and it's, what does he say? Like the worst pain you could ever imagine times 1,000 forever.
Yeah.
But
I don't have to explain it to you.
Exactly. You're experiencing it. So like all this has been going on and obviously Lex seemingly ran away earlier, but Metron's there and it's not clear, but it sort of seems like only he can see and talk to Metron, or that everyone else is just so distracted they're not paying attention to it. But he tells Metron, who popped up in the last episode, like, hey, you knew this was going to happen. You have to help. And Metron says, oh, there's maybe one thing the Darkseid wants more than anything else, and I can take you to it. So he takes Lex to the Source Wall, which I meant to look up and I forgot to. But I think it's supposed to be like kind of the edge of the universe.
That's what I was thinking, yeah.
Sort of thing. And it's this very unsettling wall that's like built out of like frozen, stone-faced beings.
A character that looks very similar to Galactus, but is not Galactus.
And it's very Kirby. I'm assuming
very Kirby. Yes,
I'm assuming this probably came from Kirby way back in the day. Again, I should have looked it up. I didn't. But he says that what Darkseid wants is beyond this wall, but like you have to get 12th level intellect to survive it. Of course, Lex being Lex, like, well then I'm overqualified. Like, you smug
fucking asshole,
smug son of a bitch. So into the Source Wall he goes. And when he returns, as you mentioned earlier, he shows up in his power suit. And he has what Darkseid has always wanted, the anti-life equation. Bum, bum, bum. And it's the only thing that distracts Darkseid away from trying to kill Superman. Because beyond his want for revenge, this is the thing he's always want. Which is like... And I feel like maybe the anti-life equation is like... It's almost MacGuffin-esque. It seems like depending on the universe, the DC universe is slightly differently defined. My understanding of it is that it's supposed to be something that basically eliminates free will.
Yes, it is total control.
Yeah. So this is what Darkseid has always wanted. So Lex presents it to him, and then there's this like swirling dust of clouds, and like stuff is being sucked into it like a tornado, and this big explosion, and seemingly they're gone. without any real explanation. Superman thinks they're dead, and Batman says, I doubt either of them are actually dead. Of course, you gotta leave it semi-open-ended. Now, I was kind of like, what did happen here? And so I did see that Dwayne McDuffie has said that Darkseid and Luthor became part of the source wall, which is what happens when you solve the anti-life equation. So that would sort of imply that all those beings were beings that had solved the anti-life equation and then became part of the source wall, which, again, that is probably like a piece of lore from the comics. My issue is it feels a little quick, a little easy, and it doesn't really make a lot of sense. Like, okay, so sure, if that's what happens, like, I almost kind of wanted some level of explanation there as to what happened, but I guess they want to leave it, kind of open-ended. But also, it's very interesting. Like, this thing would exist that once you possess it, you immediately become unable to use it because you bond with the source wall.
Like, created by Jack Kirby.
Okay, yeah. One. What is the point of trying to ever achieve it because you'll never be able to use it?
Yes, I wonder if there was a way. Not trying to pitch a two-parter.
I mean, it would not be the Timm Talk finale if you did not find a way to pitch a two-parter here.
I do kind of wish, like, Metron was the narrator for this episode.
Okay.
So, like, the episode opens with Metron at the source wall already.
Mm-hmm.
And you have some monologue of, like, I am the being who makes sure the timeline keeps going. Some nonsense. Start the episode there. Have Metron kind of like almost like from like the What If series. Like he's a watcher. He's like you see him in the background of these shots of like, do I intervene? Do I intervene? Do I intervene? And then finally it's Lex. He's like, I have the answer for you. Bring him to the source wall. You could even, I mean, like, you don't need an explanation. We want an explanation, but like you can kind of get away with it right now. I'm curious if like, what if Darkseid knew if he touches, like he has to figure it out without touching it.
Okay. Yeah.
I think, but yeah, now it's getting really clunky of like Lex does the, like, instead of making a deal, he's doing the sacrifice play.
Yeah.
Where like he touches the, like he moves the equation to Darkseid and that's like sucks him into the portal. Then it ends with Metron at the wall. It's like the timeline can continue. We're never at peace, but we're always moving forward. And then in the background, you see Darkseid. You don't see Lex, but you see Darkseid.
That would have been interesting
in the wall.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think they could have done like without taking up too much time. They could have done something kind of along those lines because it just. I think especially for the finale of this whole thing, this huge threat that's brought back from these like crazy circumstances, like 1 in a million shot that we would ever see Darkseid return, and then for him to just kind of get plucked out felt like a lack of resolution for me a little bit. It just felt a little bit convenient. This is kind of what I meant earlier, but this episode feels like to some degree it's just kind of playing the greatest hits.
Yeah.
Which is not, and it does it very well. Like, that is not fully a criticism. I think it also knows how to bring those kind of moments back and have them work. But it did feel like they needed a quick out. And so this is what they came up with. And it just feels a little convenient.
Yeah, I think also just having the parademons the whole time. Like, I wanted to see the other generals.
Oh, yeah. I didn't think about that.
I feel like you would have the B tier, C tier leaguers and the villains fighting the parademons, and then you have Giganta and Wonder Woman fighting
like Granny Goodness,
Baron
Wunderbaugh.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Baron Wunderbaugh is obviously being fought by the Question.
Obviously. I mean, but I also feel like they recognize the limitations of their own time, like the time they had to write this sort of, like, not time to write it, but like run length of the episode. Because something else I saw pointed out was that so at the end of Alive, Lex shows up with the Legion, and then a bunch of League members run out to face them. That shot is teased in the end credits, as they do with Justice Unlimited. They sort of tease what's coming up next in like those end credit shots, similar to the way the shots are teased in the opening sequence.
Yeah.
And in every tease version of that, Orion Darkseid's son, is amongst the League. In the actual final version, in the episodes, in both Alive and Destroy, Orion's not there in the same way that, to your point, Granny Goodness, Baron Wunderbar, all these people aren't there. And I think they realized that to include any of these other characters would have to expand out the story because they're a big part of that. And even after Darkseid disappears, all of a sudden his army just decides to leave. It's like, oh, he's defeated. Everyone just leaves. Again, a little bit convenient. I think if you had any of those generals that we know, those established characters still on Earth, we would feel like they would keep fighting, or we have to have a moment where they decide to give up versus being able to just write it off in a newscast of, oh, they all left.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because there's also a point they brought up in the last episode of before they were going to go to Earth, they were going to take over New Genesis.
Yeah.
And so I feel like...
Did they?
Yeah, and I'm trying to think, like, how could you write that in of, like, what if the villains come and the heroes don't believe Lex? Like, this is just another one of his scams.
Yeah.
But then the first boom tube opens, and Lex is like, see? And then that is Orion.
Yeah.
And he's fully distraught. And he, like, you see him go to Batman, which is he would never do. Or even, like, go to the Flash.
Yeah.
Being like, Darkseid's coming. And that's when everyone's like, oh, fuck.
Right, yeah, because he says he's going to go off and do it, and the only character we see is Light Ray showing up for a second, just, again, without any dialogue to help the Legion. But it's like, well, why are you here? Like, if Darkseid did go to New Genesis, shouldn't you be there fighting? Shouldn't you be dead? Shouldn't you be going out seeking help? Maybe he was. I don't know. But yeah, I think they just kind of wrote that in to explain why Darkseid just doesn't care anymore about the pact with New Genesis, or why none of those characters show up here. But again, like, I mean, all of this...
Like maybe that's where his generals are. Like,
maybe,
whatever.
Yeah, possibly. Like, and I think maybe all of this is just in the service of getting this thing as concise, as tight as possible, to focus on primarily that fight between Superman and Darkseid, and then allowing a lot of those fun little character moments we've been describing that happen with the other Leaguers. You know, John with his catapult, Zatanna with the doves, Shayera trying to destroy the machine. Those little things, I feel like they were just like, hey, let's get this as quick and concise as possible, and maybe have to take a little few shortcuts here and there to do it, which I understand.
Yeah.
I understand why they did it. So, but it all, world saved, and now it's like, okay, what do we do with the Legion? Wonder Woman says, lock him up, and they're like, we just help you save the world. Like, seriously, nothing? And Batman's like, okay, 5-minute head start. Which is
It's so good.
It's so good.
But you also know that, like, in that time, he put a tracker on all of them.
Oh, he already had trackers on all of them already, I'm sure. But they're like, wait, are you serious? And one of them just stands there. It's like 4 minutes, 50 seconds. And so they run off. And then the last kind of little bit moments here kind of save to wrap things up with the League. So Jean is on the phone with his presumed wife. It's like saying, I love you. I'll be home soon. And then there was a line from The Flash that really threw me. I don't know if you were thrown by this as well.
Not him too?
No, he says like this is the end times. And he says it in a weird way. Like, I only caught it because I watched it with subtitles. And I was like, wait, what happened there? And I think what that is him sort of like saying kind of to himself, like, oh my God, John Jones has found love before I do.
That was how because now every male leaguer is in a relationship.
I mean, well, Batman.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, him and Wonder Woman, it's still a question mark.
Well, I mean,
but he has Wonder Woman.
Yeah, he's got a flirtation with Wonder Woman and Catwoman and Talia.
Yeah. Yeah, he has his rogues gallery and then
his rouge gallery.
Yes, thank you.
Ooh.
Obviously Superman has Lois, Batman maybe has Wonder Woman plus others.
Yeah.
GL has
Vixen
and
kind of Shayera.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then poor Wally. I mean, Wally maybe has Giganta.
Yeah, that was a weird moment.
Yeah, it was kind of came out of nowhere, but also like it's kind of cute at the same time.
Yeah, but like there's also like a long running joke with the Flash, like he's only being a hero for the women.
Right. Yeah.
And so the fact that like the guy who stopped being a hero is the one that got married. It's like, come on.
Really. But yes, like that's the last little kind of beat there, and then as they're kind of walking out of the Metro Tower, Superman says to Batman, like, really, 5-minute head start, you're getting soft in your old age. And I love Batman's retort here. Like, don't you have a tall building you got to go leap over?
So good.
And then I love it. I mean, the final line of the whole universe is Wonder Woman saying, and the adventure continues. And it's at that point that then it starts like get me kind of emotionally of like this final thing. And so then the Legion runs off, and then the League like runs down the steps in classic superhero fashion.
Yeah, it's very like end of a play, doing the final bows.
And I thought this was really quite cool. I guess there's actually a very specific order.
Oh, like is it when they were first created?
Sort of. They are grouped by mostly creators.
That's great. That's even better.
So, so kind of like going through the list here, if we shall. Buona Beast and Metamorpho are both created by Bob Haney. Steel by Louis Simonson. And then The Question, Captain Atom, The Creeper, Hawk and Dove, all Steve Ditko.
What a man.
This is not a creator, but a group. But Stargirl, Stripe, Crimson Avenger, Vigilante, Shining Knight, The Seven Soldiers of Victory, as we discussed earlier in the season. Hourman, Dr. Midnight, Wildcat, Dr. Fate, Justice Society of America. Vibe, Vixen, Commander Steel, and Gypsy are the Justice League Detroit. Booster Gold, Elongated Man, Fire and Ice are Justice League International. Zatanna, The Atom, Red Tornado, Black Canary, Green Arrow are Justice League Satellite era. I'm not sure what that is, but whatever. And then
very 90s,
doesn't it though? And then the last group are the original 7. And then of course the final group to leave is of course the Trinity: Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, and then the final shot is Batman running towards the camera, and it goes to black, going into his emblem. Because at the end of the day, this started with Batman, so of course it's going to end with Batman.
Yeah.
But,
oh man,
I mean, look, this episode is super fun. I think it is a little bit of the greatest hits. It does work for me on an emotional level on a couple points, especially like that final little bit there. The music's playing in, it's big and triumphant. They're all running away. I did realize today though, it's the Joel Schumacher ending of them running towards camera. It's how Joel Schumacher ends Batman Forever and Batman and Robin, is them all running.
I mean, it's their apology for making fun of him earlier in the show.
That's true. But it works. It totally
works.
It totally works here.
With how they couldn't do the ending like last time. Like we said, like season 2 has the best ending, and I think we can still agree on that.
I was gonna ask, do you think at the end of the day, the ending of the Cadmus arc, that episode, season 2 finale, is a better ending than this one?
I do.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to bring it up again, but
Teen Titans.
In Teen Titans, they have this very similar ending. And I think like how Teen Titans does their 2-part finale for this very similar setup is season 5 of Teen Titans is them trying to expand the Titan system. They're making their own JLU. And basically like their comms have been decoded, and the villains have been using them. So every time they give a communicator to a team member, the villains know where that person is, and they've been tracking them and kidnapping all of the people they've been recruiting.
This does sound vaguely familiar.
Yeah, and so then it's down to, I think it's just Robin, or maybe it's just like the core team.
Yeah.
They walk in and they realize that everyone on the league has been frozen, and they're now like statues for the Brain and Minsu Amala. But there's a great moment where it's like Control Freak, or it's one of the like very C tier, D tier villains, is like robbing a bank, and he turns around and you see just the core Titans, and then the frame zooms out and it's every member of the Titans there to stop the one bank robbery.
Oh, I do remember this now.
It's like such a great little moment.
That is fantastic.
I think that's obviously a more comedic way, and you can do it because they're teenagers.
Yeah, like, and that tone of that show has always been a little more comedic.
Yeah, I am imagining like Two-Face, like the Riddler, is like setting up a riddle and like putting a bomb in a bank, and then he turns around, he's like, Batman. He's like, guess again, and then it's everybody.
It's like 30 members of the Justice League.
Yeah,
yeah, I agree. I think from a storytelling perspective, the Cadmus arc works better. Of like this thing that everyone keeps saying should not exist, the League, like actually it should, and Green Arrow is the one who says that it should. I think that works. I think this whole season has been just more about fun, and it's kind of like, well, a lot of this stuff was wrapped up, but let's just like unravel the threads just long enough to carry them along through the rest of the season, and then kind of retie them off again. I mean, I think you get, I would say, more resolution to say the like Shara John story in this season than we would have if we just ended at season 2. I like this little mini arc we get for Jean, and I wouldn't trade away this season to have a better overall ending. Like, this is I think fan service, but I don't mean that as an insult. I think it's done well.
Right.
Of like, we know what you guys like. You know, this one treats it with more pomp and circumstance, I suppose. It's more knowingly a finale in the way that it all kind of ties together. And you know,
it's a victory lap.
It is. It totally is a victory lap. And yeah, this episode is a lot of fun in particular. And then just, that final sequence all running off, you know, if you think about it, it really kind of does make no sense whatsoever, but you don't care because it's just so much
right, because they would use boom tubes. Why are they running?
Yeah, that's true.
Like, what are they doing?
A lot of characters that can fly are running. Like,
yeah.
why are you doing this? And like, you know, but it is fun. It is very heartfelt, and it's a nice little place to end things.
I will say, for like background character, for like the B tier heroes, I like the sequence better here than I like the episode they're given in the Cadmus arc.
Okay,
because I feel like we see more of them here, and I feel like we talked about in Grudge Match, like pre-Grudge Match, it was a lot of me punch, you punch, me punch, you punch, you're down.
Yeah,
where this, like, you would see like every team had their own combination they did, and that was very fun to watch. Like, no single spot felt the same.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, there's a different dynamic, a different visual style, and different fight style going on across the board.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. It works well for me, I gotta say.
Yeah.
So
I know.
And then it all ends.
Yeah, I mean, this is the perfect transition into our short
list.
Or
I was gonna say, our short list. So as we always do, we get to the end of a season. We go through all the episodes and decide what should be included on our short list. Which Cameron, remind everyone of our rules that I actively ignore.
Oh man, I mean, it's been so long. What are the rules anymore? We don't have any rules anymore. Basically, I'm a stickler and you're not this time.
A weird reversal of dynamic. No, like the general rule we established way at the beginning was either it is canonically critical or it is just an exceptional episode that people should watch.
Yes. Yeah, we're trimming as much as we can.
Yes.
To just get the core story.
Exactly.
Which is very hard with this season.
It is. And you know what we end up doing, and the intent behind that is like, if you were to tell someone, hey, here's this fun thing to watch, there's a lot of episodes, so here's the ones that are worth watching. The idea is like, well, how can you make it easier for someone to go through and, you know, be able to skip the bad episodes? You know, there's a lot of websites that do this for like Star Trek, or I've done it before for a lot of the Star Wars animated series, Clone Wars, Rebels. Like, so in that vein, the last 2 seasons of Justice League Unlimited, our answer has been all of them. Both seasons had like one episode that was kind of on the fence, and we end up going, you know what? Forget it. It's so much easier to be like, hey, watch the whole season, than watch everything but this one episode. Like, fuck it, go ahead and include it.
Yeah.
So this one is gonna be interesting because I feel like there's more stinkers, but
there are some not great episodes, but even the not great episodes, there'll be like 2 minutes of canon that you need to know the finale.
Exactly. So we'll start at the top here. I Am Legion.
Yes.
Of course, we'll include the formation of the Legion of Doom. Shadow of the Hawk.
So this is immediately we're getting into the situation. I think this episode is fine.
Yes.
If it wasn't for the end of what's
Ancient History.
Yes. If it wasn't for the single question point where John tells Shayera about Warhawk.
Yes.
I would say no to both of the episodes. But because of that one fucking line, we have to say yes to both of them.
I have the exact same thought you are on this as well. I think you could very easily like cut out that whole plot line. Yes, you have the single shot of Hawkman in the finale that you're like, wait, why is this character here? That aside, I agree with you. I think most of these 2 episodes are pretty unnecessary, but addressing the Warhawk thing, and for me in particular, you know, a moment that I found very emotionally effective is when Shira asks Batman, like, tell me about my son, or tells him, tell me about my son. I agree with you. I think those 2 episodes have to stay just for that alone. Yeah. So I think that is a great moment. Okay, so Shadow of the Hawk stays. Chaos at the Earth's core.
What are your thoughts on this one?
Fuck no, this is a terrible episode. This is maybe my least favorite episode in a long, long time. This
is Moon of the Wolf for JLU.
Exactly. Out it goes. Yeah. Atrocious on every level. Here's an interesting one. To Another Shore.
Yeah. So we get so little of John this season. The only reason we would say yes to this is because it is when John formally leaves.
Oh, I forgot about that. Canonically, actually, it is critical, yeah, because we need to know that he retires. Oh, there we go. But beyond that, there's stuff I really like in this episode.
So remind me everything that happened, because this is the one where they're going to the Viking ship.
Yeah, this is one where the Legion is trying to get the corpse of like the Viking prince, Viking king, or whatever.
Yeah, who is supposed to be immortal.
Exactly. A plot that goes nowhere because they end up giving him a literal Viking funeral into the sun. Canonically, also, I guess it's important because it's not important, but it's where they're trying to interrogate Giganta, and her mind gets fried by Grodd. It's brought up later on, but a relatively small moment you kind of let slide.
Yeah.
And this episode does make reference to what happened to who was it in To Another Shore? It wasn't it was Silver Banshee, and then who was the other person that was down there with him? Doesn't matter. Someone else got brain fried.
Yeah. That was in the
no, sorry,
Crisis at Earth's Core.
Yeah. But we don't get a lot of episodes of focus on Wonder Woman. I like what they do with her here in terms of her having that question of like, how can I become more of a diplomat? I'm a warrior, but how do I become more of a diplomat? I know it can't be Black Manta because of the Aquaman embargo. It's Devil Ray, but I think Devil Ray is kind of cool.
And to me, it's because he looks identical.
He just is. It
is just a PR name change.
Yeah, it's like, totally
hey,
is.
Lex has his team. Like, hey, Black Manta, we got to talk about your persona. We're gonna change it up a little bit. Yeah. We're just gonna try this out. You're in a 6-month trial.
Yeah, exactly. You're the new Coke.
Yeah, exactly.
But you're right. I guess we have to keep it just for John's retirement. But there's enough here that I feel comfortable including it because there's some other good stuff. So, Flash and Substance,
of course,
obviously,
incredible episode. Great. Probably I'd say the best one of the season.
Yeah, probably. If I ever stop thinking about it, probably. Dead Reckoning.
Sorry, this is the best one of the season.
I love Dead Reckoning. I
thought you hated Dead Reckoning because of Gorilla City.
I do hate that, but it's Dead Man. I love Dead Man.
Yeah.
Also, it's canonically critical because it's where Lex leads a successful coup against Gorilla Grodd.
Right.
So, but you're at the fucking gorilla part.
It's still so good.
Crazy. Here's an interesting one. Patriot Act.
I said no.
I'm going to agree with you on that one. I know Maddie turned me around on it and convinced me that it's a better episode than I had thought going into it.
But it is not canonically necessary.
It is not canonically necessary, and I still maintain that it unravels more of Cadmus stuff than it closes off. And there's not enough in there for me to warrant wanting to ultimately keep it. So I'm agree with you. That's a no. I'm so sorry, Maddie. I've let you down for yet another and probably the last time. Not even the last time, let's be honest.
Yeah, we still have a good 20 minutes on this
there's
episode.
Plenty of time. Plenty of time for me to be another disappointment. The Great Brain Robbery.
Canonically, no.
Yeah.
But I like the episode.
I do too. If I were to make a pitch for the one reason to include it, it's for Michael Rosenbaum playing Lex Luthor as the Flash.
Yeah.
Or whatever you want to describe it. I think that it's such a silly idea, and it doesn't really go anywhere ultimately, really.
Well, and also it's an episode like we said, this is a quote we've been talking about for 5.5 years.
Yeah.
And if you go to someone and you say that you watch JLU and you don't know that quote, like you didn't watch JLU.
It's true. It's a good point. It's got to stay just for that quote alone.
Yeah. I mean, that's not story canon, but that is like culture canon.
Yeah. It's got to say. It's a meme. It's got to say.
Exactly.
Grudge Match.
Look, I think Grudge Match, I love the episode. I love pit fighting and wrestling. But I think Grudge Match opens up a loophole that is so big that it would be better if we just don't include this episode.
I understand where you're coming from, and I appreciate you using my Patriot Act argument against me. I always appreciate that. I recognize where my bias comes in on this, but I love Huntress and Black Canary so much, And I felt like Double Date is obviously the much better episode, but I love that this episode gives us more of their dynamic together. I want to keep it.
I mean, there's very little holding me back from saying yes, so let's say yes.
Okay, I think I agree with you. The whole comms loophole thing is absurd, but I like it. I want to keep it.
Yeah, me too.
It's fun. All right, and then pretty much I think it's pretty much automatic yes. We'll go through them anyways. Far From Home.
Yep.
Canonically Critical, The Departure of Supergirl, also a pretty good episode.
Yeah.
Ancient History.
And
yeah, again,
just for the 2 minutes.
Keeping it for the aforementioned reasons.
It sucks we have to say okay to 50 minutes for 2 minutes.
I know, but you know what? It's worth it.
It is.
It's worth it. And then, of course, Alive and Destroyer.
Of course.
Are yes on both of those. So, because they're great. So that's pretty good. I mean, we basically just cut out 2. One can make the argument we're better off just saying all of them once again. But I hate Chaos of the Earth Core with so much passion that I would rather have a short list. I would have made a short list just to get rid of that episode. It's because it's such a stinker beyond even like the kind of mild stinkers of the previous 2 seasons of this show. Like this one's I'm just like, fuck it, I hate this episode so much, I'll get rid of it. I don't want it. Okay, so given that, just for the hell of it, because we're here and I have it all written down, shall we revisit all of our short lists real quick? Just like,
wow.
I kept them all. So
I wish because I take notes on my notes app on my phone.
Oh, that's all. I live off my notes app.
Yeah, and I don't know how you do it. Every time we do a new episode, I'll just erase what I wrote for the previous week's episode.
Yeah, I've deleted all my old notes.
Yeah, I kind of wish I would have kept some of them.
Same. Yeah, I kind of do too as well. The OCD in me.
Yeah, the earliest note that I still have are my bonus episode ideas.
Oh, okay. I still have some other random stuff in here that we just never did.
Yeah, my Scoob review.
We did Scoob.
I know, but I kept the note.
Okay, it's like we not only do we do Scoob, I gave you a whole Scooby-Doo episode. I gave you like it was a fucking gift. Like we did a full Scooby-Doo episode.
You enjoyed that just as much as I did.
I did. It's probably one of my favorite episodes we ever did. Because we're asinine.
Best Christmas specials. I still have that note. Yeah. I still reference that note every now and then.
Yeah, I think did I keep it? I think I kept, maybe I finally deleted. No, I kept our list of most franchised actors because I want to keep that data. We've spent so much time pulling that data. I'm not letting that information go. So, yeah, I've kept a few random things here and there, but I did keep all of our short lists, some of which we, in hindsight, realized we never actually did. We've gone back and subsequently created them. So,
yes,
going from the top here. So, for all of BTOS, we just kind of included it as one big long list rather than breaking up by seasons. But here we go. On Leather Wings, Christmas with the Joker, Nothing to Fear, Pretty Poison, Point of View, aka POV, Two-Face Parts 1 and 2, Heart of Ice, The Cat and the Claw Parts 1 and 2, Beware the Grey Ghost, Feet of Clay Parts 1 and 2, Joker's Favor, Vendetta, The Clock King, Appointment in Crime Alley, Perchance to Dream, Robin's Reckoning Parts 1 and 2.
Of course.
The Laughing Fish, The Strange Secret of Bruce Wayne, Heart of Steel Parts 1 and 2, If You're So Smart, Why Aren't You Rich? Our favorite episode. Joker's Wild, Almost Got Him, Birds of a Feather, I Am the Night, Off Balance, The Man Who Killed Batman, Zatanna, The Mechanic, Harley and Ivy, Shadow of the Bat, Parts 1 and 2, The Demon's Quest, Parts 1 and 2, His Silicon Soul, Read My Lips, Trial, House and Garden, Harlequinade, Bane, Baby Doll, Riddler's Reform, Harley's Holiday, Make 'Em Laugh, and Batgirl Returns. So we compressed the original, what was it, like 85 something episodes down to 49, which is pretty good. It's interesting going back and looking at this list. From what I vaguely recall of some of these, I feel like we were more generous back in the day than we are now.
Well, I think a lot of those are character introductions.
I think some of them are.
Whenever there's a new character, we have to add it to the list.
I think so, yeah. And some of it is really good. Like we include a lot of good Joker episodes. I'm trying to think if there's any ones that I'm like, wow, we really kept this. I guess we kept it Off Balance because, yeah, that's a character introduction.
No, we met Talia before then, right?
No, that's the introduction of Talia.
Okay, then yeah, we had.
Yeah. Interesting. I'm kind of surprised we kept His Silicon Soul and Heart of Steel. I feel like those weren't great.
Hardak.
Yeah, exactly. I don't remember really liking those in particular.
I think they were setting up Hardak to be like this big character.
Yeah.
And I think he literally just vanished.
Yeah. It's interesting we kept like Trial. That's a little bit surprising there for me.
Well, like you have to remember, a lot of these I probably said no to.
Yeah.
So this is you keeping.
I do feel like in the early days, I was stricter. I feel like
I've always been the strict one.
Fine, but hey, you know what? That's still a pretty solid list.
Yeah, cut almost half.
Yeah. No, we cut about
a third,
about a quarter.
Yeah. So we're at
49
of 85.
I think so.
That's a third.
Okay, whatever. I don't know. I don't math. I don't math anymore. I'm a podcast producer. I don't have to math. New Batman Adventures, Holiday Nights, Sins of the Father, Joker's Millions, Growing Pains, The Ultimate Thrill, Over the Edge, Old Wounds, The Demon Within, Legends of the Dark Knight, Girls Night Out, Mad Love, and Beware the Creeper. It's a great season.
Great season.
Okay. Superman Season 1, The Last Son of Krypton, Parts 1 through 3. Fun and Games, Toyman.
Of course.
Toyman.
I have such a bigger appreciation for Toyman after this season.
Fucking love him so much. A Little Piece of Home, Feeding Time, The Way of All Flesh, Stolen Memories, My Girl, The Main Man, Parts 1 and 2, Tools of the Trade, and Two's a Crowd. Good list there. What was Two's a Crowd? Doesn't matter. Superman Season 2, Speed Demons, Identity Crisis, Mixius Pixelated, fantastic episode. World's Finest, Parts 1 through 3, maybe one of the high points of all of the DCAU, I would say. The Late Mr. Kent, Heavy Metal, Apocalypse Now, Parts 1 and 2, and Little Girl Lost, Parts 1 and 2. Superman Season 3, Where There's Smoke, Nighttime, New Kids in Town, Little Big Head Man, In Brightest Day, and Legacy, Parts 1 and 2.
Oh, Kyle Rayner.
Where
did you go?
Where did you go? I know.
We know where he is.
You know, I feel like Superman kind of gets a pretty forgotten series. I feel like people don't talk about it as much, but like, and there's some stinkers. We trimmed this thing down pretty well, but like, honestly, we still have 13, 12, 7, so 32 episodes. Mm-hmm. These are all pretty damn good episodes, actually.
Yeah, and like when we were watching, I remember talking about it when we were watching Superman. Like, it was doing so much to set up everything else.
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly more so than BTOS, and I think we can again attribute the Bat embargo to a big part of that. But more so than even BTOS, Superman is setting up pretty much all of the key parts of Justice League, and especially Justice League Unlimited.
Absolutely.
And I feel like Superman's Rogues Gallery is under-recognized. Everyone talks about Batman's Rogues Gallery, but like, think about Superman's Rogues Gallery. So, you mean Toyman, Parasite, Metallo, Volcana,
Lex.
I mean Lex.
Yeah,
one of the greatest villains of all time, especially in this iteration. I mean, Lobo's kind of like sort of an anti-hero of sort, but like, I mean, Apocalypse, Mixius Pixelic. You know, I mean, there's really, really good villains all through this. Mm-hmm. So, I mean,
Volcana is pretty cool too.
I love Volcana.
Who's the electric Livewire?
Livewire.
Love Livewire.
Livewire is great. I mean, again,
Roxy Rocket is one of my favorite one-off villains.
She's Batman though.
Oh, right, but
she appears in the beginning of Nighttime.
Yes, yeah. We first see her in a Superman episode.
No, we first
see
her in what's the episode called? The Ultimate Thrill. New Batman Adventures.
Okay, did we watch it out of order then?
No, we would watch it in order. I'm pretty sure we would watch it. I mean, we were going back and forth that time. So
we were doing one and one.
Yeah, we were kind of going back and forth. But again, I think an underappreciated series. Okay, Batman Beyond. A show that maybe does not hold the same glow in my eyes as it did when we first started. But season 1's pretty solid here. Yep. Rebirth, Blackout, Meltdown, Shriek, Dead Man's Hand, Spellbound, Disappearing Ink, A Touch of Curare, and Ascension. Good episodes. Season 2, Splicers, Hidden Agenda, Bloodsport, Once Burned, Revenant, Babel, Terry's Friend Dates a Robot. I'm very glad we kept that one in there. I Witnessed the Egg Baby, an episode that should be way worse than it actually is. Plague and Ace in the Hole. Oh,
Ace
in the Hole.
That one's for you. That was my gift to you.
That's right.
Keep that.
That's right. That's true. You do give me the occasional gift with this. Season 3, we cut way down. That's a 13-episode season. We cut that down to just King's Ransom, Inkling, Out of the Past, and The Call, parts 1 and 2. That final season was not particularly great, unfortunately.
Yeah, which we'll connect with my show in a second.
Segues very nicely into Zeta Project.
Oh, yeah.
Which we just did one short list across both seasons, and we got it down to 5 episodes, which I think it might even be
that's very generous
on our part.
Well, I think, is that including like the 2-parter?
Yes. Yeah, I think Wired was a 2-parter, maybe. I think there is a 2-parter. I just listed as one episode here.
Okay,
so
okay.
Maybe it's actually 6. But Absolute Zero, which I think was the
episode 1 of season 2.
Yeah, which we decided was a better series premiere than anything else. So we have Absolute Zero, Wired, Lost and Found, Quality Time, and Hologram Man.
I think those were all season 2. I think we cut the entirety of season 1.
I think we pretty much did cut. I have to go back and look. I think we did pretty much cut all of season 1. Or Absolute Zero might have been the season 1 finale, which we actually thought.
That's right. Yeah, that's what it was.
So the season 1 finale served as a better series premiere than the actual series premiere did.
Yes.
And then, all right, we're into your baby here, Static Shock, which I feel like maybe you had a similar journey with Static that I had with Batman Beyond.
Very similar. In the many Shaq episodes that we had to cut for time.
Except we didn't. It's the frustrating thing.
Did I keep it on the list?
Season 1 of Static Shock, Shock to the System, Aftershock, The Breed, They're Playing My Song, Sons of the Fathers, an amazing episode, Bent Out of Shape, and Junior. Season 2, The Big Leagues, Static Shack.
Yep. The most important episode, canonically.
I don't remember how I eventually decided to let it keep. I mean, I guess we can now use the it's a meme reasoning. We have so many kids WB promos with Shaq. We have to have a reason why.
You know what? That's what we missed in this finale was just a cut to Dakota City, and it's Shaq dunking on one of the parody events.
Exactly. Oh my God, I wish. I'll
animate that just for us. I will go through the effort of animating.
I appreciate that. So after Static Shack was Frozen Out, Pop's Girlfriend, Bad Stretch, and Jimmy. Another good episode.
Yeah.
Season 3, Hard as Nails, Gear, Static in Africa, which we've deemed as our favorite episode of the whole series. I think rightfully so. Shebang, A League of Their Own, Parts 1 and 2, Romeo in the Mix.
We included that?
I'm blaming you on that one.
I mean, it's probably my fault.
I can't imagine why I would have let that in.
There must have been something in
Was there something canonically critical?
I think that's when we learned that Rubber Band Man and Ebon are brothers.
I don't think we learned that to the very end. I think that was a retcon at the very end of the series.
No, because it's in one episode in the middle of the season, and they never bring it up again.
Maybe. I don't know. There must have been a reason why we included that. I mean, you have a much greater love for Little Romeo now, just Romeo, than I do, but still. Toys in the Hood, of course, we had to include a Toyman episode. Flashback, another great episode. Yeah. Blast from the Past, another really fantastic episode, too. I think season 3.
That was its peak.
Banging season, that one. Oh, my God. Static Shock season 4. I hope you guys are enjoying me just listing shit.
Hey.
It's a nice trip down memory lane, though. It's a good refresher of all the things we've covered as we get into one of our final topics here. So, Static Shock season 4, Future Shock. Oh, anything with my boy Terry. She Back, Out of Africa, the great episode. Fallen Hero, No Man's an Island, Where the Rubber Meets the Road, Wet and Wild, Kidnapped, and Power Outage. All right. Getting towards the end here, Justice League Season 1. Obviously, these are all 2 or 3-parters. I'm just listing the titles alone. Secret Origins, In Blackest Night, Injustice for All, Paradise Lost, The Brave and the Bold, Legends, A Night of Shadows, and The Savage Time. Love Savage Time. Such a good one. Season 2, Twilight, Tabula Rasa, Maid of Honor, Hearts and Minds, A Better World, The Terror Beyond, Hereafter. So good. Wild Cards, Comfort and Joy, and of course, Star-Crossed. Now, I did mention earlier we just included all of Justice League Unlimited Seasons 1 and 2. I will, for the sake of continuity here, go ahead and list them all anyways.
Okay.
So, Initiation for the Man Who Has Everything. Amazing episode.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, the best.
Yeah, one of the best. Kid Stuff. Way more fun than it should have been. Hawk and Dove, the one we would have cut, but we kept it in for the convenience sake. This Little Piggy, Fearful Symmetry, The Greatest Story Never Told, The Return, Ultimatum, Dark Heart, Wake the Dead, and The Once and Future Things Part 1 and 2. Pretty much great episodes across the board. Justice League Unlimited Season 2, The Cat and the Canary, The Ties That Bind, The Doomsday Sanction, Task Force X, The Balance, which I think the episode we probably would have cut.
I think so.
Yeah. Double Date, Clash, Hunter's Moon, Question Authority, Flashpoint, Panic in the Sky, Divided We Fall, and Epilogue. And then, of course,
So if I can interject really quick.
Please.
Comparing Crisis at Earth's Core and Patriot Act, I feel like just to show how much we dislike one and not the other, I think we should keep Patriot Act just so Crisis at Earth's Core is the only episode in the entirety of the JLU we cut.
I mean, I'm not entirely opposed to that because of the little bit of spite. I guess my one counter argument is I really dislike how Patriot Act unravels Cadmus.
But J.K. Simmons. And it's the episode, because we've been asking for a while for a Vigilante and Shining 9 episode, and that is their episode.
All right. You've changed my mind.
Good.
You've changed my mind. We will go ahead and keep it, which means that, yes, in all of Justice League Unlimited, only one episode, Chaos at Earth's Core, was cut. Which is an argument to be made that that's more canonically critical, kind of, than even Patriot Act. But that means that for season 3, our final season here, it is I Am Legion, Shadow of the Hawk, To Another Shore, Flash and Substance, Dead Reckoning, Patriot Act making a last-minute comeback here. The Great
That was
Brain,
for you, Maddie.
Yep, just for you. The Great Brain Robbery, Grudge Match, Far From Home, Ancient History, Alive, and Destroyer. So that's pretty good. We'll find some way to put these lists out there for people. Mm-hmm. I don't know how, because it's probably too long for Twitter. So we'll figure something out.
I mean, we can take pictures and put it on Instagram.
Yeah, exactly. We can put something up there. So that goes to our short list, which I said was a nice little revisit here because we have 2 questions we're going to answer now that we've watched the entirety of the DCAU.
Wow.
The first one being, what is the best series in the entire universe? I'm going to let you start off with what you think it is.
It is very, very close. And I think if you ask me on different days, I will flip between them. But on today, because it is also the freshest, JLU is the best series.
What would you have said would be the other one, the toss-up?
VTOS.
Agreed. I agree with you on both counts. I also think JLU is the best series. And you're right. Like, BTOS is a weird one because it started it all. It's the most iconic. It's the one that most people know. It's the most referenced. It has done the most to inspire subsequent things down the line for better or worse in the case of Arnold Schwarzenegger's Mr. Freeze.
Or also for better or worse on the tight grip Batman has on Warner Brothers.
Yes.
And how it's the only franchise we're ever going to get ever.
I'm more inclined to blame The Dark Knight than anything else on that. But I do agree with you. I think BTOS is a big part of that. I think the reason ultimately I agree with you that it's JLU is the problem with BTOS is a lot of it's bad.
Yeah, we cut a third of it.
Yeah, and the stuff that's left ranges from necessary to good to great. To be fair, there's great stuff in there. But I think subsequent series overall, I think, had better storytelling, particularly JLU. For me, I prefer New Batman Adventures. I think there's better storytelling in that than in a lot of BTOS as well. I agree. I think the big thing is there's fewer stinkers. BTOS has the most episodes, so it makes the sense that there'd be the most to cut potentially. But yeah, I mean, blast me though this might be. I think JLU is better, and I think for the most part you could just put JLU in front of someone and they'll be able to follow along. Obviously, BTOS has the advantage of it introduces everything.
Right.
But and JLU does make callbacks to previous things that happened, but I don't think we've included stuff as being canonically critical because we're putting together a whole list. But I think you could introduce someone to the story arcs of JLU and they would still mostly understand what's going on without needing too much intro.
Right.
So, and we cut one episode.
Yeah.
We could have cut 1 to 4. But we only ended up cutting 1.
We had to really show how much we disliked the 1.
Really, really show that. But I'm with you on that. I agree. Yeah. I think it's
I meant to do this morning. I just ran out of time. I wanted to watch On Leather Wings after watching Destroyer.
Fuck! I should have done that.
We'll do that. We'll do that afterwards. We'll talk about it without microphones. Tomorrow.
Just on our own accord.
Yes.
Okay, so I think we're in agreement on this. I'm sure people are going to write in and tell us we're wrong, but we're done with the podcast. So I've
had literally years, since early high school, I've had this question of what is the best superhero animated series. And I think I've almost always either put JLU at 1 or 2 just behind Static, which we'll talk about in a second. But so many of my friends, we'd have hours of heated arguments for them saying why Justice League is better than JLU.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that I finally have someone on my side. After watching all of it,
yeah,
we can say JLU is better than Justice League.
Oh, it 100% is.
Yeah.
Again, the problem with Justice League is, given that all of them are two-parters, or most of them are two-parters.
Yeah.
It's...
Some are three.
Some are three. Some of them are kind of slow.
Yeah.
Some of the storytelling's a little bit slow. And honestly, there's a lot of ones that just aren't great, that are pretty forgettable. There's like, what was the one with the fucking snake people? That one was awful.
Oh, yeah, the lizard folk.
I don't even remember the name. It was awful. Like, I think that's ultimately it. It's like, I feel like you could give someone JLU and be like, hey, you may not know all these characters, but there's enough here for you to go along and understand it, like someone completely fresh on it. I feel like you give someone BTOS, like, hey, there's some real bad stuff in here, but deal with it. I think you have to do the same thing with Justice League too. Of like, hey, there's like some real bad episodes, but there's some good ones. Like JLU, we could theoretically not have a short list for JLU.
Right.
Yeah. And we can, every show's going to have at least one bad episode. It's fine here. But
yeah. And I think a good example of that is when we had Maddie on for Patriot Act, how they showed it to their wife.
Yeah.
And like she had never seen anything JLU or anything Justice League.
Yeah.
And like of all episodes to see that one where there's no main league members.
No big leaguers at all.
Yeah. And that she said she still really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Like that's a good benchmark of like even an episode without the core is still entertaining.
That's a very good point. Yeah. I think anyone can kind of just jump in and you know who at least the big hitters are across the board.
Yeah.
And you can do it. So yeah, again, people write in and tell us we're wrong, but we don't have to care anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, so now it goes on to our second question.
Mm-hmm.
Now that we've watched all of this, we've established which one is the best, objectively the best. We went into this having assumptions of what our favorite was going to be. Now that we've rewatched it, kind of what did you think your favorite was going to be, or what was it at the time, and is it still the same now?
That is a great question, and I'm glad that I thought of it. Obviously, we both came in with very strong opinions about our favorite shows.
Yes, we did.
Static, I came in with coming in with such high hopes that
coming
Static,
hot.
Yes,
hotter than a hot streak.
That Static was the best of these shows.
Yeah,
and I will still hold that, like the good episodes are great.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, when we did that, like rank the best episodes of all time on the with DCAU Review and with the Watchtower database team, we included Static in Africa as one of the top 5 episodes of all time. So.
Yeah, it's incredible, and it's like it's a show like a lot of the early 2000s shows directed towards like Black communities. That Proud Family, Fillmore.
Yeah.
They did such a good job of balancing between entertainment and education. Yeah. Edutainment is my least favorite word.
Edutainment. I mean, I love a portmanteau, but that one's painful.
Oh, yeah. And it's the one that I hear the most, unfortunately.
I bet you do.
Yeah. Yeah. The good episodes of Static are incredible.
Yeah.
But the bad episodes of Static, there's a lot more than I thought.
Woof.
And the fact that there was only one Shaq episode... I will admit, there was only one.
Your personal Mandela effect of thinking there was like 5 Static
like
episodes.
One per season.
Yeah.
Easy. Yeah, so Static came in as my number 1. It's probably dropped down to like maybe number 3 now.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
And obviously JLU is now my number 1.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, but you had a much deeper history with a lot more of these.
Yeah, I mean, I watched... I did not watch BTOS when it aired. I was frankly too young.
Yes, as was I.
You were not yet born when it
exactly
when it premiered. I was too young to have watched it when it aired, so I caught up on a lot of that on reruns and on VHS. I've talked at length before about having like the 2 best Riddler episodes on VHS. So that was an interesting one to go back and revisit. And I've already kind of talked at length about how I think in my mind, like the good stuff in there really shines through, but the bad stuff was like, oh, that's pretty bad here. Batman Beyond definitely is not as good as I remember it being. And we talked about this before. I think a lot of the love for Batman Beyond falls onto that first season,
which is incredible,
which is good. That first season is 13 episodes, and we only cut it down to 9, which is pretty good. But also Return of the Joker.
Yeah.
Return of the Joker is amazing. You know, I have time for an argument that that's the best Batman movie over Mask of Phantasm. I prefer Phantasm, but I have time for that argument.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, that series does not. That feels like a not a full waste of potential, but as an adult, it doesn't hold up as well as it did when I was a kid.
Yeah. Well, like we had the conversations for a while that like Batman Beyond existed for a DC Spider-Man.
Exactly. Yeah, it was their answer.
But I would even argue that Static is a better Spider-Man than Terry is.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. So that, I don't know if I necessarily went and think that'd be my favorite, but it does not hold the same shine that it did for me before. But looking back on all of this, New Batman Adventures is still my favorite. There's a lot of bad stuff in there, mainly critters, Maddie. But that has for me some of my all-time favorites. And if I'm talking about just like wanting to go on and throw on an episode just randomly for the hell of it, I mean, again, I'm going to look back on Over the Edge, Old Wounds, Legends of the Dark Knight, and Girls Night Out. Those 4 are some of my all-time favorite episodes across the board, and probably some of the episodes I've seen the most. I remember when it was like impossible to get a hold of any of this series for the longest time. In this universe, the longest time. Like it took a long time for BTOS to end up on DVD. And I remember buying off of eBay like ripped copies of the entire series, and of course they were out of order, they weren't labeled, and I went through until I could find Over the Edge. That was my primary goal, was finding that episode first, and then I found some of the other ones as well. But yeah, that's the one that I just...
Yeah, and like to have like the crossover, I still think one of the most entertaining episodes of Static is Hard as Nails, where you get to see the new Batman, Harley, and Poison Ivy, and have that fucking banging soundtrack.
Oh, that's a good one. It's a good soundtrack on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's that, I mean, admittedly, that I watched all that when it aired. I was 8 years old when it was on.
Right. It was prime Chris.
Prime for me. Yeah, that will always be my favorite. I think nothing's going to sway me from that. I mean, that being said, I think it's very clear to say, like, the greatest thing to come out of the DCAU period, Mask of the Phantasm.
Yes.
Unquestionably. We're talking about the series specifically. The movie kind of gets a pass for just being a fucking masterpiece. Even Robert Pattinson recently made a comment about how, like, in his mind, the only Batman movie so far that's really dived into, like, how fucked up Bruce Wayne's psyche is Mask of the Phantasm. And I was like, good on you, man.
His photo shoot over the past week.
His GQ photo shoot.
Remarkable.
Yeah.
It is the greatest, like, callback to bad 2000s, ranging from, like, that to bad early 20-teens. Like, he's so good at looking horrible.
He is. And I appreciate how few, like, he cares about his work and his art, but he gives no fucks about the rest of it.
Oh yeah, his public image, he could care. Like there was an interview, I think the GQ interview, where they were talking about he almost got fired from Twilight.
Yeah.
Because there was a scene where he's introducing Bella to his family in the first movie, where they stopped halfway through for lunch, and the director came up and he's like, "If you do that again, just be you." You were fired by the end of the day.
My God. I love it.
Yeah.
I just, yeah. And if anything, like that, I don't give a fuck of it all works really well for Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
So very curious to see what happens with that. But I also want to include a little note here, because we did ask people, hey, write in, what are your favorites? And our lovely Ashley Clark,
thank you,
wrote in and said that of all the Timmverse, I have to say that the one I return to the most is BTOS. Totally understandable, an amazing call. There's a reason why it is the show people point to as an example of what superhero storytelling can be. It is the best version of Batman thus far, and I credit it for being the reason there is a shift in storytelling right now in comics, like with Wayne Family Adventures. This is the Batman that millennials and older Gen Zers grew up with, and its influence is more obvious as they become the predominant storytellers.
Absolutely.
100% agreed. So thank you for writing in. She also sent us like a lovely little goodbye note as well. So thank you, Ashley.
Thank you,
really
Ash.
Appreciate that.
Thank you for being with us for probably longer than
most
of our listeners.
Oh my God. Wait, the fact that you've listened to all of this is continuously a gift. So, but yeah, that covers kind of all of our recap of everything. This, of course, being our episode. We have to do plugs. one last
I wasn't
series.
sure we were going to do plugs today.
Sorry, I forgot to mention up top. Yes, okay. One last series of plugs. Do you want me to go first? You have time to come up with something?
Yes, please.
Okay. So I have two things that I checked out recently. One is Beware the Batman. It's on HBO Max. I've never seen it.
How is it?
I can understand why it's forgettable, but it's fine. It's not bad by any stretch. It's just, it's so different. Like, you know, the art style in particular was a big leap from Batman animated series to The Batman. I think the storytelling still maintained pretty consistently, at least for the first two seasons of The Batman. But with Beware the Batman, like, everything's different. It's the first time they did a CG animated version, and it does look, I'm not gonna say cheap, but also doesn't look expensive.
Yeah, I remember I saw the trailer for it, and it gave me the same reaction when I first saw the trailer for the Green Lantern series.
Yeah.
And like I forgave it for the Green Lantern series because it's Green Lantern.
But of course, yeah.
So I should be as forgiving for this one.
Yeah. It's, you know, it's fine. I think the design is different. What I appreciate about it is that it's kind of unlike any other Batman thing that I've seen in some ways. You know, it's like it focuses a lot on Batman, Alfred, and then Katana. Now I'm on episode 6, and like that trio dynamic hasn't really been solidified yet. Like they're kind of building towards the three of them being a team, which I wasn't expecting. I thought like right from the beginning that was gonna be a thing.
Yeah.
So there's more serialized storytelling than I was expecting, which I appreciate. The design is fine. I appreciate that they throw in weird villains. Like so far the villains have been Professor Pig and Mr. Toad, a very different version of Professor Pig. Not like the, you know,
not
like
the 60s
like
one?
the like the Saw Blade. No, Professor Pig was created, I think, by Grant Morrison.
Oh, that when I first met Jeb.
Yeah, he was dressed.
Yes, he was dressed as Mr. Pig. Yes,
Professor Pig, and who is like he peels people's, like cuts people's skin off and like puts it on dolls. Like the character's really fucked up. This is a much like softer, kidified, like storytelling, like Wind in the Willows sort of version of him. But it's been that. It's been Magpie, a little bit of League of Shadows, Silver Monkey, like the current episode I'm watching is Metamorpho, Humpty Dumpty, like villains that like have gotten no coverage anywhere else, pretty much. So yeah. I can appreciate that it's different. So it's definitely not necessary. I'm not going to say it's great, but I have been enjoying it more than I was expecting. And you know, I think it's, if you're looking for just trying to scratch that itch, which I was, of just give me some Batman animated stuff that I haven't seen, it's worth checking out.
Okay.
So I started watching that, and then I read a graphic novel. It's They Call This Enemy by George Takei.
Ooh.
So it's his autobiographical graphic novel, primarily focusing on the period of his life when he and the rest of his family were put into internment camps during World War II. George Takei obviously being from Japanese descent. Mm-hmm. Living in California, and, you know, after Pearl Harbor, government mandated essentially that like all Japanese Americans were to be put in internment camps. And it is a chapter of history that, like anything else that we don't want to talk about as Americans, is brushed aside primarily.
Yep.
And it's really it's incredibly heartfelt. You know, it's really beautiful, simplistic art. It's all in black and white, which I think kind of adds the atmosphere of it. But you know, I mean, it really explores like the emotions that he had going through that, but also a lot on his family and just like the burden it put on them and the frustration. But it's, a lot of it is also though about addressing the complexity of real life, you know? So like an example being like the kind of framing device of the story is that it's a recollection of the time that he got to go to FDR's house as part of like a larger event, and kind of recognizing that FDR being this person who got us out of the Great Depression, who led us through a good chunk of World War II, that did a lot to help the country, was also the president that signed the order that put him and his family into prison essentially for like 5 years. Mm-hmm. And that his complex view of him in particular, and you know, also talking a little bit about, you know, like Reagan, doesn't go fully into this, but like, you know, Reagan was the president who basically formally acknowledged an apology and made effort to make reparations, was also the same president that ignored the AIDS crisis, and George Takei, of course, being a gay man who lived through all of that. So like there's a really heartfelt core of not everything is black and white, and for someone to have gone through like a really, really terrible experience as a child, to not look at it purely cynically and tragically is very heartwarming. I loved it. I teared up multiple times reading it. Very, very emotional story. Highly recommend reading it for everybody.
It sounds really interesting.
Yeah. And I just personally, I mean, I love Star Trek, and I love George Takei. I love him. I think he's just has this fantastic personality, and I adore him a lot. So, yeah.
Mine are not nearly that prolific. Me being me. Less of a plug, more of an accomplishment I need to share, because I've talked about it week after week for years.
Yeah.
I'm finally caught up in One Piece.
Oh my god. I didn't know it was possible.
Yes, I caught up in the anime, and then I subsequently read the manga from where the anime ended to where it is now. It took me probably 3 months to watch 60-something episodes of the show. I read the 30 issues in 2 hours, and I'm so angry with myself.
How did you do that?
Oh, they're pretty short. They're pretty quick.
Yeah, but still,
anime issues are like 11 pages.
Still is a lot.
Yeah, maybe it was more than 2 hours, but it was within a day.
Yeah, but
and just the triumph was equaled by this like inner anger of like, why did I spend so much time watching when I could have caught up?
What have I done with my life?
3 days. Yeah. But it's still very good. It's almost like this arc is almost done, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, that was just for me to share.
I love that in our finale, you also brought closure to like a background arc that no one else was keeping track of but you.
Just me, yeah. I started watching Murderville on Netflix.
How is it?
It's okay.
Okay.
I've only watched the first episode, and Conan is great. You know, Conan knows improv.
Yes.
For people who don't know the premise of Murderville, it is Will Arnett is playing a very serious, basically NCIS, CSI kind of character.
Yeah.
Where he's investigating murders, and his partner is a different celebrity they bring on every week who has no script.
Right.
So they just have to improvise everything. And there are moments where like you can tell Will's script isn't like funny enough to get the other person to, because it's like it's a serious script, you know, like he's actually trying to solve the murder.
Yeah, it's deadpan, I would imagine.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that doesn't give a lot for the other person to play off of. And so he like, when Will breaks his character to get the other person to like break character, that's when it gets very fun.
I bet. Yeah.
But yeah, the second episode I've not watched because it's Marshawn Lynch, I think, who's a football player.
Okay, yeah.
And I'm like, if Conan was kind of struggling, like I really don't want to see someone who doesn't know improv to do it.
Right. Hey, maybe he's a surprise.
Yeah, maybe he does know improv.
Yeah,
maybe this is my basis and stereotype on football players.
Yeah, you never know.
Yes. But yeah, I'm intrigued to keep watching it. Obviously, we both finished Boba. Up and down. Landed better than I would expect it to.
Yeah, without won't go into spoilers, but I will say this: like, I think Boba's fine, and also I think it's fine that it's fine.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't understand. I don't really understand all the discourse about like, oh my god, this is the worst thing ever. Like, here are all the mistakes that Boba make that Star Wars is gonna have to remedy when they get to Kenobi, or here's the things that Kenobi has to avoid to not be as bad as Boba. And I'm like, who gives a shit? Yeah. Like, I fully acknowledge that. Yeah, like 2 of the 7 episodes are like a complete tangent,
and they're the best episodes.
And I fully acknowledge like that points to faults in the series. But like, you know, I think there's a difference between pushing a universe forward and expanding it, and I think this was much more about just kind of expanding the Star Wars universe and pushing it forward a little bit, primarily in characters that aren't actually in the title of the show.
Yeah, and we got Space Vespas, so shut up.
We got Space Vespas.
They're fucking awesome.
The Moss Vespas.
That's much better. I love that.
You know, it's not brilliant, and that's totally okay.
Yeah.
Like, look, I
enjoyed it. I had this like time I could turn my brain off.
Exactly.
That was great.
You know, and my whole thing is like, this is a very low stakes show. Like, we've been getting really great stuff out of The Mandalorian, which is awesome. We have really promising stuff coming down the line. The animated stuff we're getting is still great. I love The Bad Batch. I think it just kept getting better and better as season went on.
Absolutely.
You know, I will kind of never forgive Star Wars for how bad Rise of Skywalker is, because like that movie actually had to do something. Like, it was capping off Star Wars. Like,
Right.
you had to do something great.
This was the end of the Skywalker saga.
Yeah, and it's like...
But it's not, because he's still here.
The worst for me, the worst of the entire Skywalker saga, which is kind of unforgivable given that it had to, like, wrap everything up.
Yeah.
That being said, if some piece of the TV shows we get or some of the series we get aren't that great, I don't care.
Right.
We're still getting Star Wars that I found mostly entertaining. Now, I really hope Kenobi is good, because I've been dying for that for years. And Ewan McGregor, I adore. And Obi-Wan Kenobi is my favorite character. So yes. I really hope that one's good.
Yeah, and Ahsoka right after that.
Yeah, exactly.
Is also very promising.
And also, did we ever think a show about Boba Fett was going to be good? Boba Fett is a nothing character.
But that's the thing. That's been the joke since fucking 1978. That Boba is the most badass character in Star Wars. And now we can finally have definitive answer is he's fine.
He's fine. He's not.
A pretty good bounty hunter, but there's other bounty hunters that are much better.
Yeah, there's better bounty hunters out there. And like, he's not a good gangster or crime lord because he's never been one before.
Right. And that's fine.
Yeah, it's like... Yeah.
He crawled out of the Sarlacc. Amazing. That's incredible. We finally saw it and he did it.
Yeah.
We can confirm that he did it. Immediately got his armor stolen.
Exactly.
It's all right. Whatever. The Jawas, they're little bitches.
Yeah. I kind of feel like they had to do this. It was like one of those things, like, if you're going to have stuff set on Tatooine, you have to address what happened to Boba Fett, because he can't just die.
Right.
For whatever fucking reason. It's like, okay, we have to address it. Okay, so he had to survive. Okay, so we have to show him. Okay, so we've shown him we have to do something with him now. We've given you a series, people. We finally gave you the Boba Fett you've been clamoring for, and none of you liked it. We can move on with our lives.
Yes. Now go watch The Rocketeer, because that's what he is.
Yes, and Rocketeer is way better.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I'm with you. It's fine. It's fine that it's fine.
Yeah. So we did that.
Yeah.
What else have I watched? I watched Jackass, because of course I did.
Of course you did. How was it?
There's something so normalizing about watching people do stupid shit and being able to enjoy it again. Because we've been in this state for the past 3 years now where, like, whenever you see someone do something stupid, there's like a shame that all of humanity has to deal with.
Yeah.
But it's like, we're the same species as them.
Well, it's usually something stupid on like a global theater.
Yes.
So that's part of the problem.
I mean, this is also on a global theater. It is Jackass.
True, yeah. Yes. But like the stakes are very low.
Yes. You're not watching someone get punched in the nuts for, like 30 straight minutes.
Yeah.
Will never not be funny.
Yeah. I will probably watch it at some point, because I have to admit, like, the trailer tickled me every time I watched it.
Yeah.
So.
And it's like the new people they brought in are very fun. Mm-hmm. There's a guy named Poopy, and he's great. One guy, it starts off with just this one guy named, I think his name is Ghost. I think he was also a skateboarder, or he also did some kind of stunt work. Mm-hmm. And then halfway through, they just bring in his dad to start playing in too.
Great.
And by the end of the movie, he's part of the crew.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's just like, it's so stupid.
We love it.
It's so fun. Like, especially seeing it in the theater.
Yeah.
Where you have like audible laughter around you. Like, it was just a nice, good time.
That does sound fun.
Yeah.
I can appreciate
that.
Get
a group together to watch. Like, if you watch it by yourself, it's gonna be boring.
Yeah, it's better. Dumb. It's a comedy. It's better to see in the theater.
Yeah.
So
yeah, even just with friends, like, go watch it with friends. It's great.
Yeah. Nice.
Mm-hmm. The opening bit, I'll just share this one because it's like very jarring. I forgot how much dick is in this movie, or in this series.
No.
The opening bit is a Caucasaurus Rex, and so they put a rubber like T-Rex, basically like a T-Rex shaped condom, over one of the guy's dicks, and in stop motion style had him going through a city like Godzilla, destroying a city. And it's so funny, and it's so dumb, but it sets the tone so perfectly.
That is brilliant.
Yeah.
It does sound really fun.
And so Johnny Knoxville is playing the army general set on destroying the Caucasaurus Rex.
So stupid.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just a good time.
Okay. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, now that we're done with all of our normal segments here, so... want to address the idea of like what comes next / what does it mean that this is a finale, because obviously this is the finale of the DCAU. We have through bonus episodes covered essentially any new material that's been released over the years, Batman and Harley Quinn, Justice League vs. Fatal 5. So that's all been covered, so there's really nothing left to cover in terms of the DCU. Now, the podcast today has not been exclusive to that. We've done bonus episodes, so essentially, what does it mean that this is the finale? So this is the end of the podcast for the foreseeable future, essentially. Yes. So there's no plans to cover anything else, no plans to cover bonus episodes on even all the DC movies coming out this year. I will take full credit on this. There's no plans to do Titans Talk. That is on me because, as I've explained to Cameron, I don't have enough investment in that show to warrant giving 8 hours of my life a week.
Yeah. I mean, I have my own confession, Chris. I've never seen Teen Titans. All these references I Googled immediately beforehand.
Right, exactly. Just to poke at me the entire time.
That's a lie. I love Teen Titans.
I know you love Teen Titans. Yeah, so we don't have plans to do Titans Talk. Look, very real possibility at some point down the line we may come back to this in some capacity, but there are no plans to do so. So this is a definitive ending for the show. Part of the reason being we both have our own projects that we're working on. I can't yet talk about mine. It's a little too early on, but I think you can talk a little bit about yours.
Yes, I have a new podcast coming out soon. You know, the joke trademark soon, where it's
exactly. Yeah.
Sometime this next year, I would hope, I assume. Where very different than what we do here. Not that different. A friend of mine from high school and I've got together, and we have shared our love for theme parks, has been very obvious on this podcast. And we're basically creating our own fictional theme park via audio platform.
Well, fictional theme parks.
Yes.
That's the whole point of the show.
Yeah, not a single park, but we're taking, like IP or countries or themes or mythology or kind of whatever and building an entire theme park off of that. So, we're getting the layout, the ride, the entertainment that's going to be in there, the food that's going to be in there. What are the shops? Like, what is it going to look like? We're basically playing audio Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Yeah, essentially. Yes.
Yeah, it is very fun. It is something that I've been doing in my free time for far too long. And so it's finally putting that to use and showing off my sketches.
Exactly. And I'm super excited for that show.
Yeah.
And
of course, at some point, we're going to make a James Bond park.
Yeah, do James Bond park. We've done it a little bit here, but if you ever do like a full Batman park.
Yes.
Yeah, like I'll definitely have specific things that I'll request. If you ever decide to do a Casablanca theme
we can. Yeah.
So I'll happily come on for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I have a project that I'm working on, too early to talk about, but hopefully something will happen with that in the next year or so, and I'm sure I'll continue to make guest appearances on your show and probably on like Sam Gash's show and stuff like that, and then
Yes, you have your own show.
I mean, yeah, part of it is you're
a professional now.
Yes. Listen, if you want some part of me in your life still, listen to X-Ray Vision. I am occasionally pop in for like a brief appearance or to do a small segment here and there. But I help drive the show creatively. I mean, it's really Jason's show, but I do what I can to kind of help pick the topics and drive things forward. So my fingerprints are all over it nonetheless. And fully acknowledge it's a really good show. It is. It honestly, I know I'm biased because I make it, but it just keeps getting better and better. And I will also admit that I'm looking forward to not having to have public opinions on things for a while. This is why we're not going to be covering things like the Batman and Flash and stuff like that.
Oh, what great timing for us then.
I know. Yeah. Just, and it's been fun to have this. It's been great to have a venue to sit down and talk about it. But, for me, it was Joker and Wonder Woman 1984 really killed it for me of I hate that I have to watch these just because people expect to have an opinion on it. And so I'm looking forward to just being able to enjoy my own thoughts.
Yeah.
On them without having
and just kind of enjoying cartoons again.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to watching stuff and not having to watch it with the eye of
not have to take notes.
Not to take notes, which I have to do for
a living.
It's literally my job now.
Yeah.
So having stuff on the side that I can do just for the enjoyment factor alone will be really nice. So, but yeah, so this is the end of Timm Talk. I will definitely put out updates for your upcoming show on here, and to whatever degree I'm capable, I'll put out updates about my project here as well.
Yeah. And we are still friends.
Yes.
Contrary to what we say.
We joke all the time.
Every episode.
We literally have plans to hang out tomorrow.
Yeah.
So, and again, I think it's very fair to say this is not the last time you'll hear the two of us on a podcast together. So, but this is the end. And as such, do want to give some much deserved thank yous to a lot of people. Starting with Artist Shirodami, who made our theme music for us many, many years ago, and who always gets credit in the show notes, but I should have been giving credit along the way. But thank you for making that. All of our guests. So Trevor Reese and Chris Fimbres, Frank Moran and Amanda Barnes, our old Nerdist crew.
The old crew. Wow, that's so long
I know, that was a long time ago, which is crazy. Everyone else in too. So Johnny Briantes, Sam Gash, who's been on multiple times, and obviously go check out Ideal Remake. We have both made appearances on it.
Yes.
I think I need to call up Sam at some point, like, hey, let's finally crack it. Let's do Casablanca. I just got to get out of my system. Of course, Jonathan James, Vasilius Asmakos, Lauren Rich, Kira Wheeler, and Angela Cashman, who all joined us for one of our fantastic Comic-Con clusterfucks years ago. My brother Wes, who came on for Over the Edge. Shane, the great Shane Tully, the third leg of the Burger Fan Club tripod.
Yes.
His multiple appearances. CJ James and TC from Broad Meets World. Go listen to that show. It's really fantastic. My friend Alec Brazier, of course. James Strecker and Maddie Washburn from Watchtower Database. And Dre Lopez.
Yes.
All of our lovely guests. And then to just like all of the friends and supporters that we have found along the way. So, of course, Maddie, James, and Ted Kendrick over at the Watchtower Database, who are probably some of our biggest supporters, and it's been so much fun meeting all you guys and getting to collaborate on stuff. A special shout out to Maddie for introducing me to Sav Rogers, who's become one of my closest friends.
Yeah.
I guess along those lines, Gay It Forward, also done. I'm sorry, folks.
Oh, man.
I know. I mean, it's been done for like 2, almost 3 years, but I'm saying here definitively that show is done. It's not happening anymore. Of course, Cal and Liam at the DCAU Review. Ashley Clark, who just love and adore, and who I continue to enjoy chatting about Superman and Lois with. I was really upset there wasn't an episode this week.
Oh, no.
Cameron from Cameron Reads Comics, who is to date the only listener,
the one fan,
the one person we met in person, which was really, really fun to do years ago at WonderCon, I think it was, right, or LA Comic Con. Benjamin David at Above and Batman Beyond, constant support from him. Matt Tro of the M Word and the Superman animated podcast, who gives us a nice shout out on Twitter every week. Thank you to Ranky Customs, who makes incredible custom action figures, oftentimes DCAU ones, on Instagram. Go check that out. Justin Eddins, Jake, aka The Overvoid, Chris Cons, Harold George, aka Hero Artist, who's made some really fantastic art for us in the past, as has Gordon Wills. Go check both of them out. Great art. Brian Day, The World's Finest on Twitter, and then some lovely folks on YouTube, SR Striker, Solomon Sultani, Mike the Chicago Critic, Sean Fulldark, and Jasmine Carter, who are all regular people who write in on YouTube, and I eventually remember to respond, oftentimes many months later. So thank you to all of you guys.
Thank you guys so much.
It's honestly been one of the best parts of doing this is finding this community and making friends through it, and just seeing all the love and support. For DC fandom gets a lot of shit because primarily the Snyder fans, and I think people forget that especially the DCU fans are out there, and they're all really lovely people.
They are.
And we've been able to engage with everyone on it, which is really, really fun.
And they're very welcoming. That was a good surprise.
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, the fact that we got invited to become part of the Pod Tower, and they continue to just pump out amazing stuff all the time. We're definitely not, we're the worst version of this show that exists. Cal and Liam do a better job. Watchtower Database does a better job. We've just been doing this kind of for the fun of all of it.
Right. I mean, and it started for it being for us, and ended, it is still for us. And it is nice to have friends that have kind of joined us along the way.
Yeah, exactly. So, and that's the thing. This whole thing has been really, really fun. And ultimately we decided to do this last episode, just the two of us, just because that's ultimately what it's kind of been about. But yeah, I mean, it's been really fun. It's incredible to meet all these people along the way, make friends. Also, this show gave me a career, which I was
you have a job now.
Which I never expected to.
We started this podcast and you didn't have a job.
No, I didn't.
In general.
No, I didn't. Yeah, and it's been bouncing around a bunch of different stuff in entertainment, which is and possibly hard at times. And yeah, literally for doing this for 5 years, it got me a job doing this, but on a bigger scale, and I get paid to go watch all the things I love to watch and to let someone else talk about it. It's kind of the dream.
That is, you're living it
on every level.
We've spanned 6 apartments between the two of us.
Yeah.
So how many? I've gone through 2 jobs. You've gone through 4 or 5 jobs.
I mean, big ones. Yeah.
The main job.
Yeah.
Main revenue sources.
PA stuff, but I think that's probably fair.
Yeah. So 6 apartments, 7 jobs, handful of relationships.
Exactly. Yeah. God. But I mean, yeah, it's it's weird. I was thinking about this the other day. This is the longest I've ever been committed to something.
Same.
Like, this is longer than college. This is longer than any single job I've had. It's longer than any relationship I've had.
Hey, same.
So, it's been wild and so much fun. And above all the other things that this show has done, the best part has just been hanging out with you, Cameron. Seemingly every week, as much as we can. Try to do every week. But it's been an excuse for the two of us to hang out all the time and to just talk about the stuff we love to talk about. And we're not have to like make time to do that.
That's gonna be weird.
Which is gonna be weird.
We should pencil something in for a weekly basis.
We should schedule something in for us. But no, I mean that has been the greatest joy of all of this, is this being an amazing chance to hang out with you, and I love you dearly, and this has been an incredible journey, and I'm so glad I got to do it with you. So thank you.
Same to you. You were my best friend in LA.
Yeah.
You were one of the first friends I made out here.
Yeah.
We met in improv all those years ago.
The idea of us doing improv.
I know.
We're so bad at it.
I know. I thought you were such an asshole when we first met.
I still am.
You are, but I learned to accept it.
Eventually the charm wears through.
Yes.
Yeah. The charm and the modesty.
Yeah. And like, we tried writing together and realized that was a bad idea.
Yeah.
We started Burger Fan Club, the two of us and Shane.
Yeah.
We like I can't imagine LA without you being such a big part of it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I mean, this is kind of like defined in a lot of ways our time in LA up to this point. So a whole new chapter starts.
Yeah, we started it in our first year of being in LA. I mean, we just passed 1 year.
Yeah, we met in our first year, and then it was a little after a year. Yeah, because it was September of 2016 that we started this.
Yeah.
So, and it took longer than expected. / I never thought we'd finish.
Yeah, I remember when you sent me the original Google Doc or Google spreadsheet, and I just like scrolled down, and I'm like, why'd you plan this far ahead? Like, we're not gonna make it through BTOS.
We're not gonna make it, much less do like 50 bonus episodes.
Yeah.
On a bunch of other random shit. But no, this has been absolutely incredible. And people keep asking me like, what's it gonna be like? I don't know. I honestly don't know how I'm gonna feel.
This is truly the next chapter for us.
Yeah. So I still have to go off and edit this.
Yep.
But then it'll truly be done for me when we post this on Tuesday. We don't have to do anything more with it.
Yeah.
So,
oh man,
I can finally delete that alarm at 7:15 a.m. on Tuesdays telling me to post everything.
You can like automate that.
I can schedule. I now have Facebook and Instagram automatically scheduled, but as far as I know, you can't do that with Twitter. Or there's like, you can sign up for sites that will do it for you. But I did that for a little bit, and it wasn't worth the money. And then it took me forever to actually get them to cancel the goddamn thing.
Yeah,
so for putting it on Twitter, I have to do it and stuff.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm also looking forward to like not having to be on Twitter as much.
That is a good idea. That's always nice.
Yeah, except for now I have to do it for work.
Yeah,
exactly. Mm-hmm. So, but I mean, yeah, thank you to everyone. At the end of the day, just thank you, Cameron, for doing this.
Thank you, and thank you, Mom, for listening to some of these.
Yes, Cindy, thank you. We really should have had her on at some point.
Oh, this is not her realm.
But
I'm sure she has stories that like we can't even fathom.
That's true. She would have upped like the class and quality level a lot.
Yes.
Which is probably why we didn't do it, because it's never our goal to be good at this.
That's right.
So, but thank you, everybody. I mean,
thank you
for what it's
so much.
Yes, for what it's worth, you can find us at Timm Talk Pod on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Gmail. Like I said, we will probably be putting updates on future projects there, and if feasible, maybe putting them on this feed as well, to be determined. But if you want to stay with us post this podcast, Cameron, where can they find you?
If you want to see my art, which will be updated very unregularly.
Infrequently?
That's the word. You can find that at Cameron.Dexter on Instagram. If you want to see my face, you can find that at CamDexter_adventures. And I'll even share for you, the special listeners that have waited this long in the episode, my secret TikTok account.
Oh my God.
I will share it with you. And my 6 videos is at the Disney Historian.
That's right. It is. Yeah. I follow you on TikTok, but I'm never on it. So
yeah, I made the account.
Wait, you have two TikToks?
No, just the one.
Just the one. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, just the one as a secret. I wanted to like get a fresh start from like the Disney community.
Yeah.
Because it's obviously still Disney content.
Unsurprisingly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you can watch me rant about nonsense and give history lessons, which I love to give.
That's true. And I would prevent you from doing here.
Exactly.
So That would be the beautiful thing, is no more me censoring you all the time.
Oh man, I'm so excited. Just fully talk about anime anywhere and everywhere.
And I won't be there.
Yeah. Sometimes you'll be there.
Sometimes I'll be there, yeah.
Yeah. But mentally, though, you'll never be there.
No, exactly. Lurking in the shadows.
Where can they find you? I
am at Lordifer on Twitter and Instagram. And I do have a TikTok. I've never posted anything, but I'm on there, I guess.
Yeah.
If you want to find me there. And, like I said, go follow X-Ray Vision.
Yes.
It's better than this. So, we just, don't cover the same material. But it's a really fantastic show. So go check that out.
Yeah. And I'm sure you're going to do the Batman episode in the next few weeks.
Yes, we will be doing an episode on the Batman.
Yes. So if you need more Batman content with Chris's brain behind it.
That's true. Yeah.
You get one more shot.
I am not the one speaking, but I do contribute to the ideas.
Yes.
So you can get a hint of what I'm thinking about it. Mm-hmm. Plus, I would imagine at this point, if you've listened to all 257 episodes of us ranting about shit, whenever you watch the Batman, you can probably assume what our collective thoughts will be on it, just based on what you know of us. But yeah, everyone, thank you again. Go enjoy the Batman when it comes out. We all hope it's good, and be prepared to sit on your ass for 3 hours.
Yeah.
So
thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Ba 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 ba
ba ba ba ba na 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 ba 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 na 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 na